Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game, set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Caroline is out today. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian.
What up, what up?
Bad loss by the Titans yesterday. It is a Titans Monday, and we will be to you all day. 615-737-1025. I make no promises on how many texts I'm going to be able to read today, but we will get to your phone calls today, as we always do on a Titans Monday. And the Titans fall 20-16 to the Bengals yesterday. And let me say this. I was furious when I left Nissan Stadium yesterday after that loss to Cincinnati. And I was so disappointed. I was disappointed in the entire team. And I was disappointed in the coaching staff. And I was disappointed in the offense. And I was disappointed in the defense. And I don't know how you can't be perpetually disappointed in the Titans special teams when they just don't ruin the game. Everybody wants to tell me that's a good game from the special teams. But the truth is, the Titans were awful yesterday. They were awful across the board. I left that stadium dejected. I was so disappointed in this football team. This football team that I've been saying for the last 4 or 5 weeks, they're a contender. They're legit. I believe they've got a good defense. I've been saying it on Sirius XM across the country. Hey, believe in the Titans. Colin Cowherd's ranking them in the top 10. And all of a sudden they go out there against the Bengals with extra rest, mind you, and play the way they played yesterday. That was a disgraceful performance from the Tennessee Titans. And I was so upset that as soon as I got home, I flipped on the game. As soon as I got home, I got out my pens, got to work watching the game, breaking it down, because I wanted to know exactly what it was. And then after I watched the game, I listened to the press conferences. So I went to the game, I watched the game, I listened to the press conferences, and I felt better after the press conferences when I heard Mike Vrabel say this to sum up what happened yesterday.
All 4 phases didn't do a good enough job today, being coaching and special teams, offense and defense.
Okay. He's right. They were terrible across the board yesterday. Terrible on offense, especially in the red zone. Terrible on defense, and really inexplicable with how bad it was on defense. No pressure on the quarterback. They couldn't stop the run. They got pushed around by Cincinnati's offensive line. They didn't get any big plays out of the defense. No forced fumbles, no interceptions, no tip passes in the air that led to an interception. They didn't do anything. Bad tackling, this group, this defense, the way that they've been bad tackling with extra rest after Green Bay. And then special teams. I mean, they can't return a kick. They can't return a punt. They didn't punt the ball very well. They missed a 35-yard kick before halftime, which was atrocious. The end of the game, we all know what happened there. I mean, even I know, and I'm not a special teams guru, even I know you can't hit the snapper. I know it. Everybody knows it. It's basic. And not only that, they almost had 2 guys that hit the snapper. But the biggest takeaway that I have, the biggest question that comes from yesterday's game for me is more so, why did they play so poorly? That's the question that I need an answer to, and I don't necessarily have it. And if the Titans had the answer to this question, they would never tell you. Why did they play so poorly yesterday? Did they play so poorly because they just had a bad game? Which is not an excuse in my book, but we've seen it. Not everybody's going to be perfect all the time. The 99 Titans went to the Super Bowl. They lost 41-14 to the Ravens on the road, a Ravens team that wasn't really all that good. It happens. Did they have a bad day? Was it because they had gotten too into the rat poison after their performance against Green Bay? Or was it the fact that Cincinnati made them play poorly? And that's the real question here, is why did the Titans play the game that they played yesterday? Did they play it because they're really not that good and a good team like Cincinnati showed us, hey, you're not ready for the big boys? There are two separate 0-3 records that I don't think are an accident. You lose one game, quarterback throws 3 interceptions, fine. It's the quarterback's fault. He was bad that game. You lose a game in 2020 against those horrible Bengals, and Tannehill throws a goal line pick, and the refs make a bad call on a Jayon Brown interception. Fine. You lose 3 in a row. That's not an accident. You lose 3 to Buffalo, Kansas City, and Cincinnati, like the Titans have this year. 2 on the road, 1 at home, 1 with a backup quarterback, 1 early in the season. That's not an accident, guys. Was it because Cincinnati made them play poorly that they were so bad yesterday? And that would be worse to me than just, hey, Titans were feeling themselves after Green Bay. They had a massive distraction amongst the coaching staff with the offensive coordinator not being able to pull up and dial up a free lift on his way home. And, it was a bad week, and they ran into a bad Bengals team, and they had a bad game plan, and they didn't adjust properly, and they made some bad play calls, and a couple of 50-50 balls didn't go their way, and ultimately, because they were playing Joe Burrow and not Carson Wentz, they lose the game. I can live with that. That makes me feel much better, because it makes me think, okay, next week when they play Philadelphia, another Super Bowl contender, they'll get that figured out. They'll be able to tackle next week against Philadelphia. But there is a part of me that is very concerned that the reason why the Titans lost yesterday is because Cincinnati made them play that poorly. It's easy to look great when you play a team that's no good. It's easy to look great against the Colts and the Raiders and the Commanders and the crummy-ass Broncos. It's easy. Green Bay stinks. It's easy to look good against those teams. And not only that, it's not like the Titans were blowing any of those teams out. Of all the AFC contenders, the Titans' strength of victory is by far the lowest. We talked about it on this show Friday. They haven't beaten anybody. And so in comes Cincinnati, a team that has a brutal back end of the schedule. I mean, we're talking about Kansas City's on their schedule. Buffalo's still on their schedule. The Ravens are still on their schedule. I mean, it is a murderer's row on that Cincinnati schedule, and they know it. They knew they couldn't come in here and lose. And they've got a quarterback that every time I watch this man play, I have such an appreciation for him. I think he is so good. I mean, I see him, and I see John Elway when I watch Joe Burrow play. He might end up being better than Elway. That's how much I think of Joe Burrow. And so they come in here, and they've got and we talked about it on the pregame show yesterday, they've got a good defensive line that nobody was talking about. And that's where I was amazed after the Packer game, was the Titans went out there with an entire backup offensive line. And they ran the ball well, and they protected for the quarterback. And I kept asking people, I'm like, what about this backup offensive line? What do we make of it? My God. And then we saw the backup offensive line against a really good defensive line yesterday, and they were in trouble. And so Tannehill played great. Not going to take anything away from him. I thought his clock management, he and Vrabel, at the end of the first half, I thought was pretty horrendous. But outside of that, I thought Tannehill played great yesterday. So I'm not laying the blame on Tannehill. I thought the coaching staff did a very poor job adjusting. I thought the defense did a terrible job tackling. They didn't get any game-changing plays. They had very little pressure on the quarterback. They allowed too many scrambles from the quarterback. He scrambles once or twice, fine. You're going to let him do it 5 times? Unbelievable. They gave up too many yards rushing on first down, which set Cincinnati up for success. They allowed too many big plays. Now, some of those are just a great quarterback and a good receiver against corners that are undersized. And if you don't get any pressure on a great quarterback like Joe Burrow, and he's great, if you don't get any pressure on him, he will pick you apart. So some of that might just be the Bengals. And I thought they were pushed around physically. And again, bad tackling, especially Amani Hooker. Normally we don't single guys out unless it's for good things. Who are we kidding? This show, we single them out. Amani Hooker's tackling yesterday was pathetic. David Long had some bad tackles. What's wrong with David Long? He's a great tackler. Special teams. Missed a 35-yard field goal, personal foul at the end of the game, bad kickoff return. They had no business taking out of the end zone. They had a bad day punting for Stonehouse. Disappointed with that as well. Offense, they got no push from their backup offensive line. They subbing in obvious personnel groupings. They were horrendous in the red zone. And then I thought coaching. I thought coaching, as Vrabel said, I thought coaching was pretty bad yesterday. Whether it was the actual strategy of the game, like the decision to challenge, which was clearly a catch, and I think Vrabel got caught up by Cincinnati rushing to the line, whether it was Vrabel going for it, Vrabel kicking the field goal instead of going for it at the end of the game down by 7, which I thought was ludicrous. I thought it was nuts, Vrabel's decision to how many times you going to let Joe Burrow break the pocket before you make a change? And so I was really, really disappointed yesterday by the Titans. But again, that's yesterday. That's crying over spilt milk. The real question is why. In 2020, they played a game in December. And I know we're technically not in December. But in 2020, they played a team that, just like this team, ended up winning the division. And a lot of people didn't believe in them. And everybody around here said, no, this team, they're great. This team's awesome. This is going to be fun. And in 2020, they played a game against the Cleveland Browns at home. And Baker Mayfield tore them up. And a couple weeks later, they went on the road to Green Bay on Sunday Night Football and got housed. And I said, they're pretenders, not contenders. And everybody got mad at me. You're going to let one game change your opinion? And it was, I just knew. If the other team has a decent quarterback, they're going to shred this 2020 Titans defense. And they were one and done in the playoffs. I'm not saying that yesterday was a game that made me say, okay, the Titans are pretenders and not contenders. I'm not going back on that. But I do wonder, the Titans, who have played so good, especially on the defensive side of the ball, against Denver and against Indy and against Carson Wentz and against 8-loss Green Bay. Did they play poorly yesterday because they weren't ready for the game? Did they play poorly yesterday because they didn't respect Cincinnati enough? They didn't respect Joe Burrow enough? Did they play poorly yesterday because of the distraction that was caused inside of the building with the offensive coordinator getting a DUI? Or did they not play well yesterday because Cincinnati's a good team? And finally, they got matched up against somebody who's got some oomph to him, and Joe Burrow put the ball where he wanted to in the end. And that the dumb mistakes finally caught up to the Titans because maybe Indianapolis doesn't make you pay for your mistakes like Joe Burrow does. And I don't know the answer to that. And that's the question that I think decides where the Titans are as far as contending and where the anger or disappointment in yesterday's game should lie. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We will get to your phones today on a Titans Monday, 615-737-1025. And again, the question, I think we can all agree. Vrabel said it yesterday. They were terrible. Were they terrible because they just played terribly? Were they terrible because the Bengals made them play terribly? And I'd much rather have them just have a bad day or them play terribly because of their own unforced errors than they played terribly because this is what life is like against Joe Burrow. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, the coaching. The coordinators, the head coach. I mean, my goodness gracious, this was one of the most poorly coached games the Titans have had in a while. We'll get to that coming up next. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They are the best. No poorly coached games from Jimmy Hiller and those guys. They are fantastic. I love Hiller, and they've been taking great care of my home for years, and they can do the exact same for you. Hiller is giving away cash for the holidays, and they are celebrating from now until the end of the year with special deals. Hiller wants to make sure every child experiences the joy of Christmas this year, so they're donating $50 in Toys for Tots with every tankless water heater purchase. And they're giving away a $250 Visa gift card with each unit. Get a $500 Visa gift card when you buy select new HVAC systems, or get a $500 Visa gift card with the purchase of any new whole home generator. They have more details online at happyhiller.com. As always, Happy You'll Be Here, the service is free, and these deals are only available until the end of the year, so schedule today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Every Wednesday at 8:45. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:45 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
Genesis Diamonds kicks off the holiday season with the largest luxury pre-owned Rolex event ever this weekend. We've brought in an expanded selection of pristine, like-new Rolex timepieces, hundreds in stock for this special event, including all the hard-to-find models, Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. It's an unprecedented buying opportunity. Great prices and special zero-interest financing for 5 years. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex or get one for someone else. Get the watch of your dreams and spread your payments over 5 whole years. Also, our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar, or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special holiday pre-owned Rolex buy-sell trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Open Sundays till Christmas.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Never miss a moment of the show.
What is this? Check it out.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
On a 31-yard attempt. Trying to put Cincinnati up by 7. He connects. Flag down. Flag came flying just as the ball was making its way through the uprights. Tennessee is out of timeouts.
Personal foul. Number 97.
Oh, that's a crusher.
Defense for a hit on a defenseless player. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
Kevin Strong just ended the game.
Did he hit the center? Typically, defenseless player on a kick situation would be the person snapping the football. Right in the middle is where this will take place. And there goes the snapper as he's rolled back, Cal Adamitis, and that's where the penalty is called. Watch the middle, the snapper, and see where he gets hit right there and rolled back. That's where the penalty is called. He is protected as a defenseless player, not supposed to have that kind of contact.
And that's it. You take 3 knees. Tennessee, if the field goal is good, you've got a shot.
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that. You talk about all the ways to lose a game. Hitting the snapper in the head, which, by the way, everybody knows is a penalty. Everybody knows you cannot hit the snapper. I know that. I've never played football in my life, and I know you can't hit the snapper in the head. And that takes me to what I thought, where I think some of the blame needs to go, and that's the coaching. In fact, I think a big portion of the blame needs to go to the coaching. And if today's show is like going to the principal's office, then it's like, let's say that 3 or 4 children got in trouble. I'm the principal, and I'm calling them in one by one. Because all of them, all 3 coordinators and the head coach are absolutely all individually responsible in different ways. Now, I'm going to start with the special teams coordinator, Craig Ackerman. If I was Mayor Cooper, in fact, this might be the best way to finally rid ourselves of Craig Ackerman's horrendous special teams coaching, which just comes up at least 3 or 4 times a year and at least cost them 2 games every single season. And they've never been good at special teams as long as he's been the coach. I don't care what JohnnyJoeFootball.com says. The Titans over the last 6 years that he's been here, they haven't been able to return punts. They haven't been able to return kickoffs. They haven't been able to kick the ball. They've been pretty good at punting the ball, but they haven't been able to do just the basic stuff. And the special teams almost never wins them a game. But oftentimes, like the Thursday night game against Indianapolis a couple of years ago, the special teams absolutely loses the game. And so instead of begging the Titans to fire Craig Ackerman, because Mike Vrabel will never do it for whatever reason, I don't know. But instead of begging the Titans, we need to go to the mayor's office and we need to tell Mayor Cooper, hey, tell the Titans we're not giving them $1.2 billion for a new stadium unless they get rid of Craig Ackerman, because I'm tired of watching this guy and his horrendous special teams. And yesterday was certainly, and it wasn't just that one play, that personal foul penalty, which again was freaking stupid to hit the snapper in the head. And they had 2 guys hit the snapper in the head. But not only was that dumb, they missed a 35-yard field goal. I mean, when can they figure out how to kick? Every other team in the league figures out how to kick. Half the teams that have figured out how to kick in this league are doing it with guys that couldn't kick for the Titans. I flip on the TV. Oh, there's Greg Joseph. Change the channel. There's Cairo Santos. Change the channel. There's Cody Parkey. Change the channel. There's Ryan Suckup. So all these guys can't kick for the Titans, but somehow, some way, they're kicking for everybody else, which drives me insane. And they can't figure it out no matter what. They've lost 2 home games this year. They lost to the Giants at home on a 47-yard kick, and they lost yesterday by missing a 35-yard kick, hitting the snapper in the head. I mean, C.J. Board, what the hell was that guy thinking yesterday? Taking the ball 2 yards out of the end zone, getting to the 18-yard line. That's terrible. What was he thinking fielding a punt at the 6-yard line yesterday? Just basic stuff. So Ackerman, the special teams, they never get any better, and the Titans never do anything about it. But again, this one, special teams, abysmal. I had a coach text me yesterday and said the difference in this game is going to be their kicker versus your kicker. And I think we've all seen Evan McPherson hit enough kicks at Nissan Stadium to know what it's like to have a good kicker as opposed to what it's like to have that kicker.
Quarterback and kicker, those 2 positions in particular, eh?
Yeah, but you can't do anything about quarterback. You can't go get a Joe Burrow. Secondly, now this is going to be quick. Bowen, how many times Joe Burrow going to break the pocket before you change something up? Because I get it, he's not Lamar Jackson. And I watched Philadelphia last night have a spy on Jalen Hurts, and that really didn't even help them at all. Now, I don't think they had the right guy spy him. They put a linebacker who's not as fast as Jalen Hurts in there to spy Jalen Hurts. But Joe Burrow, on the first drive, breaks the pocket, runs for a first down once. Then Joe Burrow again breaks the pocket and runs for a first down. Then Joe Burrow breaks the pocket again and runs for a first down. Then Joe Burrow breaks the pocket again and throws the ball complete for a first down. How many times until you're going to say, okay, we may sacrifice something on the, coverage into this, but we're not going to let Joe Burrow just run right up the middle and pick up a first down. How many times does Joe Burrow have to do that before you make an adjustment? So that's really my only problem with the defensive coaching yesterday. I was disappointed in the defensive line's play. I thought they got manhandled. That's not on the coach. And, some of the mishaps in coverage where they make the ball on the sideline against Trey Avery or they throw the ball up to T. Higgins. That's a great quarterback making great throws and a great receiver coming down with it. And the ball on the sideline was a great catch by that receiver I've never heard of before. Now, Downing. I thought Downing was terrible too. I think there are two separate things that bothered me about Todd Downing. The first thing that bothered me about Todd Downing was his lack of adjustments throughout the course of the game. And I really mean once you realize that the backup offensive line couldn't block their defensive line. It's not his fault that the backup offensive line couldn't block the Bengals defensive line, which has two good pass rushers in Hendrickson and Hubbard, and a just behemoth of a whale in DJ Reader at nose tackle. That's not Todd Downing's fault. But what is Todd Downing's fault is the fact that Todd Downing just kept trying to run right up in there with a 270-pound center versus a 350-pound nose tackle. That's not very smart. At some point, you got to change the running game. I know they changed the scheme up on it, but again, when you can't, it doesn't matter if you run a zone scheme, a gap scheme, it doesn't matter. If their guy is 350 pounds and can push back your 270, 280 pounder, there's nothing you can do. I played high school basketball at USN. When I was at USN, we played in the same league as Brentwood Academy. They had a player by the name of Brandon Wright. Many of you all know Brandon Wright. Went to UNC, went to the NBA. Now, our coach, and trust me, we didn't have the players Brentwood Academy had, and we never won. But our coach wasn't drawing up plays for us to go run into the lane and try to put it up there so Brandon Wright could just block the shot every time. So how many times is Todd Downing, in an obvious run situation, going to try to have his 280-pound center block a 350-pound nose tackle? So I thought that was ridiculous. But where I really thought Todd Downing struggled yesterday is I thought Todd Downing, has got to wean himself off this addiction to Jeff Swain. I mean, it's ridiculous. They get inside the 16-yard line and they throw a screen to Jeff Swain. A screen. Then later in the game, after they hit the deep ball to Burks and they get the roughing the passer, I'm sitting there saying, okay, this has to be a touchdown. I don't care how you get it. This has to be a touchdown. The Titans on second down. Tannehill's having a great game. Burks is having a great game. The passing game proved last week they can be effective. And on second down, and I didn't realize this until I saw everybody run off the sideline. I saw 5 guys run into the game, which means they're completely changing out the eligible receivers. They had Hooper, who I'm okay with, Hooper, Henry, Swaim, Kevin Rader, and Cody Hollister. Bob Shoop texted me yesterday, and he said, I knew when 8 was the only receiver in the game, they were going to run it. Well, so did Cincinnati. And guess what? On that play, by the time Tannehill took the ball, 4 hats on the left side, 4 Bengals were running right at the line. You have a backup offensive line. You're not going to block that. And not only are you not going to block that, you know you're not going to block that because you haven't blocked it all day. So I thought that was terrible. I'm not going to be one to sit there and say, Henry didn't get enough carries. Henry got too many carries. Henry and this one, that. I'm going to tell you, when you are throwing a screen to Jeff Swaim in the red zone, you are making a poor choice. That is a stupid play call. Stupid. Now, I'm not saying Todd Downing is stupid. I'm not saying Mike Vrabel is stupid. But if you think that that is a good idea, you are stupid. Because everybody on the planet knows that a screen pass to Jeff Swaim is not a good idea. And, of course, he dropped it. Just like he dropped it 2 weeks ago. Did they throw him the ball at all in Green Bay that he dropped? I can't remember. But Swaim has gone on to show, and I feel bad for Swaim. I really do. Because he should be able to make his $3.5 million, which is a whole different story. He should be able to make his $3.5 million in peace by standing on the sidelines and letting the other tight ends who are better play. But instead, the Titans have to put him out there, throw a screen pass to him in the red zone, and instead it's his fault, when really it's not his fault. It's the dingbat offensive coordinator who doesn't know how to use Lyft on his phone who's putting him out there, which drove me insane. And then there's Vrabel. Couple things with Vrabel. Number one, I thought Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, didn't show enough respect to Joe Burrow this week. I think that there's the way that the team treated Joe Burrow, I could feel it. It was different than the way they treat Aaron Rodgers. It was different than the way they treated Patrick Mahomes. It was just different. And I don't think, because Vrabel spent all week saying, oh, this isn't a revenge game. It's a good team where you, instead of saying, hey, they came in here and they kicked your ass last year and they kicked your ass last year. He spent time minimizing the Bengals. I think minimizing Burrow, didn't put enough respect on him. Secondly, I thought the clock management at the end of the first half was atrocious. And some of that must be on Tannehill too. But I thought that, if Austin Hooper catches the ball on the sidelines after they burned their third timeout, because I didn't think they should have taken the second timeout when they took it, especially knowing that Joe Burrow was on the other sideline. If Hooper catches that ball on the sidelines, they have to run up to the line of scrimmage and clock it, and they might have 2 seconds left. Dumb. Then the idea of the Titans down by 7, connecting on third down and long to make it 4th and 5, and running the kicker who had already missed from 35, running him out there to take another crack at it in order to make it a 4-point game with 6 minutes to go with Joe Burrow as the other team's quarterback. I thought that was a bad decision. The challenge, I wouldn't have challenged it. In fact, I wish the Titans had a player savvy enough, like T.R. Tart did last week, to go down, and then that would have allowed the Titans to look at it. But the challenge, I thought Vrabel got goaded into by Cincinnati running to the line. And Vrabel said that he thought he didn't catch it. Well, Vrabel was standing on the total opposite sideline. There's no way he would have been able to see that, and he knows that. And so I'm not going to kill him for the challenge, but I didn't think that it was operationally. You got to win your challenges as a coach when you need your timeouts in the fourth quarter. So I thought the coaching yesterday was pretty atrocious. And, again, I don't know when special teams coaching. I don't know when that plans on getting better. I really don't know when that plans on getting better. 615-737-1025. I see your phones lined up. We'll get to them next. Don't take the blame off the players by saying that there's a lot of blame that goes on the coaches, because the coaches didn't miss the tackles. The coaches, didn't drop the screen pass intended for Jeff Swaim. The coaches, it goes on and on. 615-737-1025. We're to your reaction. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
1, 2, 3, in a close game.
Look out! The King is on his way! Touchdown, Tennessee!
The Titans fall to the Bengals 20-16 at Nissan Stadium.
The rematch belongs to Cincinnati.
Next up, they'll take on the Red Hot Eagles.
Touchdown, Quez Watkins!
Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk.
Talking Titans?
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hal Gill here for my friends at Dunkin'. Everyone celebrates the holidays in their own special way, but you go twice as hard as everyone else. So does Dunkin', which is why they've created 2 espresso-rich holiday signature lattes. The minty, cocoa-dusted peppermint mocha and creamy cinnamon sugary toasted white chocolate lattes are handcrafted with bold espresso and topped with whipped cream to help you do the most this year. So swing by the newly remodeled Dunkin' on Bradley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and grab one today on the double.
Robbie Stanley.
Sometimes the overthinking that takes place, pretty mind-boggling.
Joe Rexroad.
Thought there was an issue. There's not an issue. There's no issue. They're doing wonderful.
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad every weekday morning from 6 to 10.
Taking care of business this early in the morning.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I do not want to deprive people of a close-up of my face.
Watch live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game. Live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Got to be cleaner in the red zone. Obviously, it's something we pride ourselves on and put a lot of focus and importance on, throughout the season. And today we didn't execute well enough.
Anything in particular in the red zone? Looked like maybe a couple of drops hurt the cause.
Yeah, just overall, we just didn't make enough plays down there. We got down there a few times and had some opportunities, but just didn't make enough plays.
Just didn't make enough plays, Ryan Tannehill says. And I would agree with him, but sometimes we have to think about who it is that's out there that's making the plays, right? Because the Titans got to the Cincinnati 15, and on 1st and 10 at the Cincinnati 16, they called a screen pass for Jeff Swain. Again, don't get me started on that. That ended up in a field goal, by the way. Then the second time they got down inside the Cincinnati red zone, and they, again, finished 0 for 3, as far as their Cincinnati trips into the red zone were concerned. The Titans get deep down inside on the throw to Treylon Burks, and then all of a sudden, Jeff Swain's got to come into the game. They get 5 yards with Derrick Henry. They ran to the left. Swain was on the right. And then Derrick Henry, 1 yard from the Cincinnati 6 on 2nd down and 5. Where were all the guys that, catch touchdowns in the red zone? Hooper, Hilliard, Chigakonkwo. Where were those guys? No. And so, while normally I would say, hey, they didn't execute inside the red zone, and that's what cost them, I think the reality is they didn't play the right players. They didn't draw up the right plays for the right players. And if you win, nobody says anything about it. If you lose, we wonder why you're throwing screens to Jeff Swain. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I promised them we're to them. Adam in Portland is going to kick us off today on a Titans Monday. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, man, I got a couple things. Number one, Big Jeff does not look comfortable to me. I don't know if you've noticed it. He looks hurt still. I know he's in there. I appreciate him being in there. He looks slower. He was dominated on that line the whole day. Danico Autry not being in there really hurts us, and I know Vrabel's been pretty good about utilizing depth players to come in and play that defensive line, but they missed him bad yesterday. Number 3, and my last thing, Todd Downing, I don't know if the DUI played into it, but his play calling this week looked way lazier. and less creative. I saw at least 10 bubble screens, and you've talked about them. Like 2 of them worked. The rest of them don't work. So it was,
I mean, they did run one for a touchdown, though.
Yeah, just like I said, one of them works. And
when
the
you
rest
say
of
that
them
his
don't.
play calling was lazy, what do you mean?
It means, like, I don't see a lot of motion in the backfield. I don't see any type of creativity to try to get people off their spots. All I see is, all right, we're going to line up, we're going to fake a screen this way and throw a screen the other way. Just, I don't know, it's typical. We've been seeing it the last 2 or 3 years. It's the same crap.
So, I mean, I think Todd Downing stunk it up yesterday, too. Thank you for your call, Adam. I thought Todd Downing stunk it up, but I think that he's, you know, like, it's very specific for me where I felt like Todd Downing made his mistakes. And I don't think it's so much it was lazy. Sometimes I think they're trying to do too much. They ran a play where they threw a screen to Hilliard and they motioned Henry over to the right and then threw the ball to Hilliard. And Traylon Burks was standing on the left side, and I think he was anticipating a bubble screen as well. And so neither of those would have worked, and Dontrell Hilliard got blown up in the backfield. And I'm watching, I'm like, what the hell was that? It looked like an Arena Football League play. It was like, we got to get so many guys moving at one time, and so the defense won't figure out. And we got to trick them. And what I wish the Titans would do, and I think they're getting there with Burks, but what I wish the Titans would do is that they would look at their offense like a basketball team. I'm not mad at the performance Derrick Henry had yesterday, though I am worried about Derrick Henry physically. And I'm worried about Derrick Henry on the long touchdown run, not the fumble, but the fact that he got caught from behind. Old Derrick doesn't get caught from behind. And now he's been caught from behind a couple times in a row. And so I am worried about that. But going back to, Derrick's performance, if the Titans were a basketball team, I would say, okay, Michael Jordan, I need you getting 20 shots. Scottie Pippen, I need you getting 15 shots. Horace Grant, I need you getting 8 shots. Bill Cartwright, I need you getting 3 shots and rebounding. And that's what I think the Titans need to do with their offense, is they need to look at their group and say, okay, Henry, you need the ball. Hilliard, in the red zone, low red zone, passing situations, you need the ball. Burks, you need the ball. Hooper, third down, you need the ball. Woods, you need the ball against zone coverage. And instead, I think it's like, let's run this special play in here to come in and trick them. And let's throw the screen pass to Jeff Swain. They'll never expect it. And it's like, of course they'll never expect it because he sucks. And so those are the things that bother me. Again, that double weird whatever kind of Arena Football League play they ran to Hilliard yesterday. Like, just get him the ball. Just get Hilliard the ball. He's a good player. When you just got him the ball against Green Bay, it was a touchdown. LD is up next on Special Teams. Thank you for calling. What you got, LD?
Hey, Jared. I actually I wanted to call in and get on you about your special teams take with them losing based on missing the kick and the penalty there at the end of the game, but that's not even relevant anymore. Quick before I forget, they mentioned during the game that Tannehill had a high ankle, so you can talk about that later. But I used to get on to Tannehill pretty hard about not checking out, right? You see the box, 8, 9 guys in the box, you don't check out. But my thing is, with all these personnel changes, who's he going to check out to? I mean, Hollister or Swain, that's pathetic. I mean, I'm so over the personnel changes. I can't stand it anymore.
It
Thanks,
truly drives me insane. Thank you for your call. And I'm going to circle back on that special teams thing because I think absolutely special teams mattered yesterday. I mean, again, it may not matter against the Colts that, Stonehouse kicks the ball from the 40-yard line and it goes into the end zone for a touchback. And then they get a holding penalty, which they called on the Bengals, and so it moves it half the distance to the goal. You put that ball at the 6, the holding penalty moves it back to the 3. That's a big difference, and you all know that. And special teams as a whole yesterday was atrocious. I mean, you miss a 35-yard field goal right before that. You can't miss a 35. This is the NFL. But back on the personnel groupings, they play the bad players too much. I mean, it's as simple as that. They got too many bad players. I mean, let's forget for a second that the entire offensive line is a backup offensive line, which is not their fault. There's nothing they can do about that now. But outside of Nate Davis, literally every single one of those other players is essentially a backup. And so that's really not their fault. But then when it comes to how many snaps they're getting for guys that aren't very good, Jeff Swaim played one less snap yesterday than Derrick Henry did. Jeff Swaim played 31 snaps. Chig Okonkwo played 19. In no world should they be playing those kind of snaps. And I know they hit a ball to Hollister against the Colts, but they're not going to hit those balls in games that matter against the good teams. And that's what I felt like yesterday was a game against the good team. And it's, again, I'm not letting the players off the hook by blaming the coaches for things about the personnel groupings. He did bring up the Tannehill checking out. I do think that it's worth noting there was one play in particular where the TV mic caught. You could catch Tannehill calling out the nickel, Mike Hilton, calling out that he was run blitzing, and nobody picked him up. So Tannehill literally is under center, and I think he's like, watch a nickel, watch a nickel, watch a nickel, and he points at him. And Dennis Daly, who I think was in charge of it at that point, I mean, I'm guessing because he was the only guy who would have been there, Dennis Daly didn't block towards him, and Derrick Henry just got tackled in the backfield. So, I mean, Tannehill's trying. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your phones. 615-737-1025. And then I think one thing that does bother me about yesterday's game, and should probably bother everybody, we'll get to that coming up here on the program. When the Preds have a game tomorrow night, it's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Participate in Pick to Click tomorrow at 8:45 a.m. with Robbie and Rex Road.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobis. After a start in the 40s the afternoon, middle 50s for us here. Partly to mostly cloudy. The next chance for some showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms will take us into late Tuesday into early Wednesday morning.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Attention Preds fans, this is Jeremy, General Manager at Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars at 508 Church Street in downtown Smashville. Come check out the most awarded cigar and bourbon lounge in the country and watch our Gold and Blue Preds make another Stanley Cup playoff run. Take a picture with me, post to our Blend Facebook and Instagram, and be entered to win a special Davidoff package. Experience luxury at its finest with the best spirits and cigars in the industry. Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars, time beautifully filled.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
The Nashville Jam Company is already a super popular weekend breakfast and brunch destination. But with summer over, it's time to put the beach body away for a while. So for fall, they've expanded their offerings and added what they call the Meat and Three menu. Yeah, cool weather and Southern comfort food go hand in hand. And the stars of this show are the hefty meatloaf, Southern fried catfish, slow-cooked pot roast, fried chicken, Salisbury steak, and a slew of other rib, stick, and delicacies. And they have salads, too, if you're into that kind of thing. Come see the new menu Monday through Friday from 10:30 till 2.
Chase McCabe.
Competition in all positions.
Willie Donick.
You know what? I went on the radio and I tried.
And Derek Mason.
The man that sleeps on the floor never falls out to bed.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
You lost the physical battle today, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think the numbers would say so. You know, the numbers would say so. Obviously, the way we rushed the ball, the way that we stopped the run, I don't think we tackled well. You know, we weren't able to get into any rhythm in the running game. So, you know, I felt like there were times where things were working and clicking, and then, you know, weren't able to continue to sustain that. I thought we'll see how we covered kicks on tape.
There you go. Vrabel asked if they lost the physical battle, and he didn't just want to come out and say it. He didn't just want to say, yeah, we lost the physical battle. But that's absolutely what happened. I was there. You all saw it on TV if you weren't there. The Bengals walked into Nissan Stadium and pushed the Titans around. And let me say this. If you're a team and your bread and butter is, hey, we may not be the best team. We may not have the most talented players. We may not have Tom Brady at quarterback, but we are tough and mean and gritty and we'll find a way. You can't get out-toughed at home against a team when you're coming off of extra rest. And that's what happened yesterday. And it wasn't just the running game. I want people to understand things. It wasn't the fact that, they held up Derrick Henry in the backfield for most of the day, so they were more physical than the Titans. But it was too many yards on first down running the ball with a backup running back in Samaje Perine. It was too much of a push from the Cincinnati offensive line. It was too many 50-50 balls that the Titans didn't win physically. Ball goes up in the air. T. Higgins goes up against McCreary in the end zone and out jumps him and pushes him at the end. And you saw the referee went to grab the flag and didn't throw it. He thought about it. I thought it was a good no call. I thought it was a physical play in the end zone, and T. Higgins went up and made it. And part of that is T. Higgins is a good player. But if you're a physical team, if you are hey, nobody's tougher than us, then Treylon Burks comes down with that 50-50 ball that Ryan Tannehill stands in on the blitz and just throws the ball over on a check and doesn't let some bum like Eli freaking Apple come down and knock the ball away. Robert Woods, a contested catch on the sidelines on a second down. He drops the ball. And it was contested, and the Bengals DB made a good play, but Robert Woods has to catch that ball. Got to be physical. That's physical. And I thought the Titans were beat physically, not just on their own offensive line of scrimmage. When people say, hey, the Bengals out-toughed them, I think people are going to look to the running stats. And they're going to say, look at what they did to Derrick Henry. They shut Derrick Henry down. They out-toughed the Titans to 2.2 yards per carry with Derrick Henry. And you're not wrong. But what about all the runs that Perine got in the second half on first down, especially when the Titans knew they needed the ball back in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden it's 5 yards on first down. Here you go. This was the final drive after the Shudak field goal in which Cincinnati didn't give the ball back. Burrow complete 8 yards. Perine 2 yards. That's not bad. Burrow complete over the middle, 8 yards. Williams, the running back, 16 yards and a missed tackle by David Long. If you're the physical team, you get back there and you stop the guy at the line of scrimmage. Early in the game, the Titans, because of a holding penalty, had great defensive field position against Cincinnati. And all of a sudden, Perine takes the ball and Amani Hooker misses a wide open tackle. And now, all of a sudden, Cincinnati's at midfield. And it's like, if you're a physical team, your $11 million cornerback doesn't whiff on a huge tackle. And that happened too often. It happened too often that they didn't bow up and either make the play in the secondary, they didn't make the play physically, and they were going to let them play. You know, some of the penalties yesterday I thought were kind of ridiculous. Some of them I thought were pretty hands-on, but they were going to let them play. And if your calling card is nobody's tougher than us, you don't get out-toughed at home. And they got out-toughed at home. You don't get out-toughed coming off off of extended rest, which is what the Titans had. You don't get out-toughed. And, again, nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to say, you know, hey, we got out-toughed, because toughness is something that you control. But I think it's pretty obvious. Texter to the text line, Michael says, how much did not having Danico Autry and Ben Jones affect the game? Stop. Before I get into even more of that text, let me just say this. They didn't have Jamar Chase. I like Ben Jones. Clearly, they love Ben Jones. And you all know how much I love Danico. Now, I think Danico Autry, when they signed Danico Autry, because Danico Autry had killed the Titans for all those years with Indianapolis. When they signed Danico Autry, I was like, oh, yes, yes. But if we're going to sit here and say, you know, they didn't have Ben Jones and Danico Autry, and the other team didn't have Jamar Chase. That's like I was doing Sirius this weekend after the Michigan-Ohio State game. Somebody called in and said, well, Ohio State didn't have Jackson Smith and Jigba. I was like, they haven't had him all year. And Michigan didn't have Blake Corum, who might have won the Heisman Trophy if he had been healthy for this game. So it's like, you know, we're really going to sit here and cry about Danico Autry and Ben Jones. If you can't overcome Danico Autry and Ben Jones, how are you going to win a Super Bowl? Because you will play teams like that, and you will have guys that are hurt. And those teams will also have guys that are hurt. And so when you play in the playoffs this year, and you host, and right now if the playoffs ended today, it would be the Bengals. When you host the Bengals, you know, they may not have a tight end, or they may not have a right tackle who got hurt yesterday in the game, or they may not have a defensive tackle like last year when Larry Ogunjobi broke his foot in the Raiders playoff game before they played the Titans. But you're also not going to have everybody either. You're not going to have a left tackle. You're not going to have your outside pass rusher, Harold Landry. You're going to have to get over it. That's the NFL. And we're going to sit here talking about Ben Jones and Danico Autry. And you're talking about $12 million. They didn't play with Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase is like a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And if he were to hit market, would get a $30 million contract. Don't give me that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. The Titans lost a game yesterday that they absolutely cannot afford to let happen again. And I will explain what it is they let happen yesterday that cannot happen for this team going forward. We'll get to that next. Jared Stillman, Mad Dog. Jared Stillman. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Juju makes a huge play.
We talk the game.
The college football playoff rankings, Tennessee, the number 1 team in the country.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Joe Rexrode here for OrderGreen.com. Listen, to do the job I do, got to stay on the move at all times. Lots of travel, early mornings. Sometimes it can catch up with you, and when it does, I always enjoy natural and enjoyable ways to de-stress my mind and body. That's why I use a high-quality, wide selection of THC and CBD products from OrderGreen.com. It's not just me. Lots of my friends are on the bandwagon here, including a sick family friend of ours who has gotten great benefits. OrderGreen.com. You subscribe, you save 25% off shipments of gummies, or use promo code Joe20
20 for 20% off your first purchase. OrderGreen.com.
Genesis Diamonds kicks off the holiday season with the largest luxury pre-owned Rolex event ever this weekend. We've brought in an expanded selection of pristine, like-new Rolex timepieces. Hundreds in stock for this special event, including all the hard-to-find models, Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. It's an unprecedented buying opportunity. Great prices and special zero-interest financing for 5 years. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex or get one for someone else. Get the watch of your dreams and spread your payments over 5 whole years. Also, our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special holiday pre-owned Rolex buy-sell trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Open Sundays till Christmas.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Second flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful.
I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Titans Monday. Titans fall to the Bengals in painful 20-16 fashion yesterday. Somebody texted me on my way out the door of the stadium yesterday and said, isn't that the same score of the playoff game last year? And I was like, nope. That was 19-16. This one was 20-16. So it was very, very close. But let me tell you something that was incredibly frustrating about this Titans loss. And that is last year when they lost to the Bengals in the playoffs, we know why they lost to the Bengals. The quarterback threw 3 interceptions. It was plainly obvious that he cost them that game. And I, went on like a 3-month crusade to get the quarterback changed because I felt like there's no way that he can go toe-to-toe with these high-end quarterbacks every single week in the playoffs, go up against Mahomes, go up against Allen, go up against Burrow, go up against these guys and beat them. I just don't think he can. And that's why I find yesterday's loss to be incredibly disheartening. Joe Burrow, whom I love, every time I watch that guy play, and I mean watch it in a game where I've got some skin in it, where I've got some emotion invested in it, I walk away and I'm like, I love that freaking Joe Burrow. I do. I love him. Joe Burrow finished with a quarterback rating yesterday of 91 flat. Again, quarterback rating, it's a cumulative stat that kind of takes everything into consideration and says, here's how good your quarterback was. 91. Ryan Tannehill yesterday, 91.7. So as good as Joe Burrow was, and Joe Burrow, I think we can all agree, was freaking awesome yesterday, Ryan Tannehill was just as good. In fact, Ryan Tannehill was better. They both completed 22 passes. Tannehill had 21 more yards, threw 3 fewer passes, and didn't have a touchdown, unlike Burrow, who had the beautiful one to T. Higgins. Not only that, I thought Tannehill was not just let down by his team, but it was almost like everybody was working together for Ryan Tannehill to not find a way to win that game yesterday. First off, Ryan Tannehill, I thought, executed the 2-minute drill fabulously until they started burning the timeouts, and I still blame Vrabel for that first timeout at the second timeout at about the 40-second mark. And then Ryan Tannehill throws a ball on the sidelines to Hooper when they don't have any timeouts left, and Hooper drops it, which honestly was probably best for the Titans. But Tannehill let them down at the end of the half. Cincinnati ties the game. Tannehill leads them down to kick a field goal to go in the locker room with the momentum and the ball to start the second half. And they miss a 35-yard kick. They didn't miss a 45-yard kick, which is inexcusable in the NFL. They didn't miss a 55-yard kick, which is an average now kick in the NFL. They didn't miss a 65-yard kick, which Baltimore would have hit. They missed a 35-yard kick. Not Tannehill's fault. Then, Tannehill, they get the ball to start the second half, and the Titans are driving down the field, and all of a sudden, 3 and out. Why? Robert Woods dropped the ball. Can't blame Tannehill. They get inside the red zone. Tannehill throws the ball to Swaim. He drops it. By the way, great play call, Todd Downing. Might have gained on 1st and 10 at the Cincinnati 16. Might have gained a solid 4 yards there. Not Tannehill's fault. Tannehill throws a ball facing the blitz, throws it in a perfect, this is what's called the hot read. Tannehill had the hot read to Burks. He saw the all-out blitz coming from the Bengals. He stood in there. He got popped in the mouth. He delivered the ball, and it was up in the air for Treylon Burks, who had position on Eli Apple, and Treylon Burks couldn't come up with it. Tannehill on 3rd down and 6 on the first drive of the second half. After Robert Woods dropped the ball, Tannehill got sacked because they stunted on 64 and 78. And they didn't pick it up. Not Tannehill's fault. In fact, Tannehill, I thought, did a good job of not trying to force anything there and taking the sack and not fumbling the football or throwing an interception. All of a sudden, the Titans are moving the football, and they're inside the red zone after Tannehill hits a deep throw to Treylon Burks and stands in there and gets a roughing the passer penalty, which I guess technically was roughing the passer, but thought was a little questionable. And what does Todd Downing do? Tannehill, who's having a great game, takes the ball out of his hands. Derrick Henry. 3rd down and 4. Tannehill incomplete for Okonkwo, who dropped it. And that's a ball that Okonkwo has to catch. So right now, for Tannehill's sake, we've got the kicker misses before the half. Robert Woods drops it to start the second half. His offensive linemen get confused. He gets sacked in the second half. His offensive coordinator takes the ball out of his hands, and his tight end drops it. That's not Tannehill's fault. Then you go into the fourth quarter, and the one drive the Titans had, because Cincinnati's now taking the lead, and Tannehill moves them right down the field. Tannehill buys time with his legs, throws the ball to Burks, completes it for 7. Derrick Henry's running the ball now. Okay. Tannehill scrambles, gains 4 yards on a 3rd and 4, and took a shot. Good for Tannehill. Tannehill complete to Henry, gain of 9. Tannehill complete to Okonkwo. Now, after the Titans end up running that, whatever the hell play that was to Hilliard, where he ends up getting tackled, it's 3rd down and 15 at the Cincinnati 30. Tannehill takes what the defense gives him on 3rd and 15, gains 10. And then the coach, down by 7, with 6 minutes to go, takes the ball out of Tannehill's hands, and they make the field goal. So Tannehill doesn't get a chance on 4th and 5, even though he's playing great. Finally, Tannehill doesn't get a shot at the end of the game to match Joe Burrow because they hit the snapper in the head on the field goal. Ryan Tannehill played great yesterday, and it was almost the opposite of the playoff game, where it was everybody else who was missing tackles and missing field goals and dropping the ball and not making contested catches and not getting off the field on third down and not being able to win a 50-50 ball on offense or defense. It was everybody else. And that's why when people say, that one penalty at the end of the game, that didn't cost them the game. Are you sure? Because Ryan Tannehill played great yesterday. Ryan Tannehill played as good as Joe Burrow did, and that is saying something, and you all know how much I love Joe Burrow. And I thought Joe Burrow was fabulous yesterday. So if you're the Tennessee Titans, and we know you're going to make the playoffs, and we know that in almost all of these AFC games, whether it's Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, whether it's the Chargers and Justin Herbert, whether it's the Dolphins and all the weapons that they have, whether it's Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, whomever it may be in the playoffs, we know that the Titans are probably not going to have the advantage at the quarterback position. If you get a game like that from Ryan Tannehill and you don't win it, then that may be a sign that you're just not good enough, that you're just not that good of a team. That Ryan Tannehill, with a backup offensive line yesterday, went throw for throw with Joe Burrow. There's an old Jared and the GM that I was listening to a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. And this was before the Titans played Kansas City in 2019, and the Titans won in almost miraculous fashion that game. Tannehill threw for about 180-something yards. Mahomes threw for 300 plus, 400, whatever. Mahomes. And I remember asking Floyd, could Tannehill go into a game and do a shootout with Mahomes and outshoot him? And Floyd was not here for that conversation. And he just kept saying over and over again, that's not how we win. That guy throws for 400. That's not how we win. And I have just decided that in all these games, whether it's Allen, whether it's Burrow, whether it's Mahomes, whether it's Herbert, whomever, I'm just going to say, hey, defense is going to have to do their job in order to keep this from being a shootout where you have to ask your quarterback to go out there and play better than their quarterback. And yesterday, the Titans defense didn't do anything to keep Joe Burrow from doing what he wanted to. They barely sacked him. They sacked him one time. They didn't turn him over. They weren't tipping passes in the air. They weren't forcing fumbles. Honestly, they weren't even really pressuring Burrow. Anytime that the Titans had great coverage down the field, he just broke the pocket and ran with the ball. And Tannehill still outplayed him yesterday. And they can't win a game when Ryan Tannehill outperforms one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if that's going to happen, I hate to break it to you, but you're in deep trouble. It's disheartening that the Titans' Achilles heel might be their lack of an elite quarterback. They don't have a bad quarterback. They don't have Carson Wentz. They don't have Marcus in Atlanta. They don't have what a lot of these bum teams that you look at have. They don't have Matt Ryan at quarterback. They've got an okay quarterback. They don't have a great quarterback. And yesterday, he played great. He played great. He played exactly the way you want him to play. And he got no help. He got no help from his coordinator. He got no help from his running game. He had drop passes from his receivers. He got no help from his defense. He got no help from his head coach. He got no help from his kicker. And he got no help from his field goal block unit that hit the snapper in the head. And that's disheartening. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll get back into your phones. Plus, the brightest spot of yesterday's game for the Titans, and it's not even close. This gets me excited. We'll get to that coming up next. FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook's my official sportsbook app. And with football season well underway, now's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet does not win. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props, and you can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started, and you'll get paid your winnings quickly. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up today with the promo code JGM for your no-sweat bet. That's promo code JGM. And make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. By the way, no-sweat betting. That Colts Steelers game, one team doesn't have a coach, one team doesn't have a quarterback. Neither team's very good. 21 and older in present Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is not withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days and restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Every Wednesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Jason Bottom's Led Zeppelin Evening. Live. An unforgettable evening of Led Zeppelin's greatest hits and deepest cuts. This Wednesday night at Ryman Auditorium. Tickets on sale now at Ryman.com. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening. Sponsored by PNC Bank and Access. Proud partners of Ryman Auditorium.
Welcome to Smashville, home of the biggest hits in hockey and the loudest parties on Broadway. Join us at Bridgestone Arena Tuesday, November 29th for Racing Night, presented by Hunt Brothers Pizza. You will not want to miss your Nashville Predators in action taking on the Anaheim Ducks. Purchase your tickets today at NashvillePredators.com/tickets. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. We can't wait to see you back inside Bridgestone Arena. Let's go, Preds!
Mid-State Sports winter registration is going on now. Register your child ages 3 through 13 for indoor soccer and basketball. Adults can register as an individual or a whole team for indoor soccer, flag football, volleyball, and basketball. Info at midstatesports.com.
Signs First, Nashville's leading locally owned and operated sign and physical media company, has been supporting local community organizations for over 30 years. Signs First offers a 10% discount to all churches, nonprofits, and charities. Go to sfnash.com.
Parman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Parman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industry. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Parman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Okonkwo, the motion man. Fake it to Henry. And now throw it to Henry. Henry getting to the outside. Look out! Derrick Henry! The King is on his way! Loses the football and scooped up in the end zone. Touchdown, Tennessee! Just like they drew it up. Traylon Burks.
And this is a play that takes place in multiple parts. Derrick Henry, he gets bottled up in traffic first. So Ryan Tannehill has to wait for him. Then he gets it to him. Now watch the pursuit by Traylon Burks, 16. Because he ends up following the football, and because of his hustle following the play, he's able to dive on it and secure the football for Tennessee. An excellent play by Cam Taylor-Britt, the rookie out of Nebraska, knocking it free from Henry. But the hustle of Burks keeps the play in Tennessee's favor.
What a great play by Traylon Burks. Now, it should be noted that the guy who did knock the ball out was the guy that Traylon Burks was supposed to block. And all I know is Corey Davis would have blocked that guy. But Traylon Burks is becoming a legitimate star for the Titans. I mean, I was skeptical after the Green Bay game, and he played great in the Green Bay game. And I know he's got the talent. I saw it the first day of training camp. I was skeptical that he wouldn't continue the Green Bay performance. And I thought Traylon Burks yesterday was fabulous. Scores his first career touchdown. I heard Robbie and Joe talking about it this morning about not knowing if it was a rushing touchdown or a receiving touchdown or what kind of touchdown you call that. 4 for 70, 17 yards a catch. The one thing that bothered me, he had the bomb, which was underthrown a little bit by Tannehill. You know, again, not every throw is going to be perfect. It was a little bit underthrown by Tannehill, and If Tannehill ends up making that throw, it could have been a touchdown. There was a deep one that Tannehill was pressured, and he missed on it to Burks, where Burks was getting open, would have had a big gain. And then this is the one knock on Burks. And again, we're being fair here. Burks was awesome yesterday. And Burks is giving me a lot of hope that he really can be that number one guy the Titans need, which is what they drafted him to be. But Tannehill sees the all-out blitz coming from Cincinnati. Burks reads it, runs up there. Tannehill puts it up there for Burks because the ball has to come out. Like, Tannehill knows he can't wait for Burks to get open before he throws the ball. The ball comes out. Burks goes up for it, has position on Eli Apple. That is a contested catch. That is supposed to be the specialty of Treylon Burks. He has to make that contested catch, and he doesn't. And so that was the one knock on Burks' performance. But other than that, great hustle, great ability, and the contested catch in which he went up and got it and flexed on him after he caught it. I thought that was a fabulous play by Burks. The biggest positive in yesterday's crap hole performance by the Titans was Treylon Burks. 615-737-1025, and our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Corey Curtis is texting me, by the way. He's telling me, Tannehill wasn't great yesterday. He was okay. I'm like, Joe Burrow, I thought was excellent. Tannehill had a higher quarterback rating than Joe Burrow. What did Tannehill mess up? And Corey Curtis said, well, the one play where Robert Woods was coming open out of the backfield, he threw the ball to Okonkwo, and Okonkwo dropped it. If Okonkwo catches it, turns around, he probably runs into the end zone. He definitely gets the first down. I'm not going to be mad at Tannehill for missing an open guy to throw to another open guy who didn't catch it. That's the worst thing he did yesterday? I mean, come on now. I thought the worst thing Tannehill did yesterday for me was right before halftime when the Titans had stupidly burned their third timeout. I thought Tannehill tried to throw a ball into quadruple coverage for Nick Westbrook-Akine. He's lucky it didn't get intercepted, but I guess it didn't matter because they ultimately missed the field goal. But I thought that was the dumbest thing Tannehill did yesterday.
That's when they need to dial a one-on-one up for Burks, right? At the end there, and just let him try and go win something there late. I do wonder if Tannehill had some issues with the checks, if that had anything to do with the run game, or if Cincinnati was on to something.
All I know is I could hear on one of those Mike Hilton tackles in the backfield, Tannehill's under center, 180, 180, nickel, nickel, nickel. And he's like pointing right at Mike Hilton, and nobody blocks him. So I can't be mad at Tannehill for that. Unless he said, don't block the nickel. And I don't think he said that. So I can't be mad at Tannehill for that. I thought Tannehill played great yesterday. And again, we can nitpick, and, Corey said, well, the ball he threw to Swaim was too high. I mean, I hate to break it to you. I'm not mad at Tannehill for making a mistake on that throw to Jeff Swaim. Because it's probably better off that Swaim didn't catch it, because Swaim probably would have fumbled it. I mean, most of the time, Swaim doesn't catch the ball anyways. So all of a sudden, we're, to say, well, the ball hit him in the hands. This is the NFL. If the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. We've all played Madden football. You know that if that ball hits you in the hands. Texter says, quote, Tannehill was very good. However, in the red zone, he missed a wide-open Woods for a touchdown and threw it behind Chig in the red zone as well. Again, look at Joe Burrow's throws. Now, some of those Joe Burrow throws yesterday were freaking fabulous. I mean, some of them were fantastic yesterday. But at the same time, not every throw Joe Burrow made was perfect either. He threw a ball up the top that Hayden Hurst had to go get. And because Hayden Hurst has just a little bit more talent than Jeff Swaim, he was able to adjust to the ball and make that catch. And it was a great, great decision by Burrow. It wasn't a great throw. And yet he was able to make the catch because Hayden Hurst has a lot of talent. Texter said, quote, Tannehill didn't play poorly, but he should have had 23 completions and a touchdown if he hadn't thrown a 5-yard pass into the end zone to the rookie tight end at 200 miles per hour that went through his hands. Again, Chig Okonkwo has to catch the ball. I know. We have to remember this. I know the bar is low here for receivers and tight ends because none of them have been any good for the last 25 years except for A.J. Brown. But if the ball hits you in the hands, you have to catch it. End of story. The only one that I'm okay with, Hooper dropped a ball right before halftime. I think Hooper dropped it on purpose. I hope Hooper dropped it on purpose because if they had completed that ball on the sidelines, That would have been with about 12 seconds left that Hooper would have caught that ball to be able to get everybody on the ball and clock it. They might have had 2 seconds on the clock in order to kick a field goal. And then, with Mega Man out there kicking, I would have been nervous about, are they on the right hash mark for him and everything else. But everything that happened to the offense yesterday, I don't think was Tannehill's fault. I'm not mad at Tannehill that Robert Woods dropped a ball he should catch. I'm not mad at Tannehill that Chigakonkwo dropped the ball that hit him in the hands. I'm not mad at Tannehill that Jeff Swaim dropped the ball. I'm not mad at Tannehill that they got to the 6-yard line because of his ability to throw the ball and standing in the pocket. And then all of a sudden they ran it twice with obvious personnel so that the second time Cincinnati's hats were flying downhill at the ball. And now it's set up for third down and he hits the guy open in the hands and he drops it. I'm not mad at Tannehill for that. And again, my standard for Tannehill is not that of Joe Montana. It's not that of Joe Montana. I thought Tannehill played great. John asks, is this the Twilight Zone, you defending Ryan Tannehill? No, this is the reality zone. This is the reality zone where we look at the fact that Ryan Tannehill yesterday gave the Titans every chance to win. It's not Ryan Tannehill's fault that after he completes the ball over the middle of the field to Westbrook Akine on a 3rd down and 15, that Vrabel decides to go run the field goal kicker out there with 6 minutes to go. You want to know what's so crazy? Speaking of Twilight Zone, just my thinking of this. I was looking at the clock, and I was seeing the trend of the game. And this is what these analytic gurus who sit up in the booth and they crunch the numbers with a calculator, this is what they don't do. They don't see and feel the game. And I was feeling the game after Cincinnati scored and the Titans were down a touchdown in the 4th quarter. And I was thinking to myself, there's a lot of time on that clock right now. Right now, Tennessee's got the ball with 13 minutes. And I don't know if Joe Burrow gets that ball back. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it again. And I thought to myself, if the Titans score with under 4 minutes to go, and Ian, you know how against this I am, I would have gone for 2. If they had scored with 4 minutes to go, down by a touchdown, I would have gone for 2. And hoping that my defense can get 1 stop. Because I don't think I'm getting 2 stops on Joe Burrow. And if I end up kicking it back to them with, 4.5 to go, I have to get 2 stops. I have to stop Burrow there, and I have to stop Burrow in overtime. So I would have thought about going for 2, unless I think my offense could have scored twice. And I hate to break it to you all, but I don't think they could have. That is how much respect I had for Joe Burrow yesterday and looking at the clock. And so with 6:11 to go in the ball game, the Titans complete the ball 3rd and 15 there at the Cincinnati 20 on 4th and 5. And the way Tannehill had been playing, I want him out there. Because I felt like even with 6 minutes to go, the way the Titans defense had been worked against Joe Burrow, they weren't going to get the ball back. And then they didn't.
Did you have
615?
Did you have a good feeling about? Sorry, did you have a good feeling about if they had gotten the ball back at the end there and not gotten called for the penalty, how they would have done?
Let me ask you, how was your feeling that if they had not gotten called for the penalty and they had gotten the ball back down by a touchdown?
I would have felt
no timeouts.
I mean, at that point, they had been moving the ball okay. Whether or not it stalled out, they'd been stalling. That would come down to a 4th down play, I would think, in the red zone.
The Titans would have had the ball with 1:57 to go, assuming that C.J. Board doesn't stupidly take the ball out of the end zone on a kickoff. But
he's stealing them some sneaky special teams yards at times on the returns.
He's also giving them back. That one that he took out yesterday brought it to the 18-yard line. But let's say that the Titans had 1:57 to go, no timeouts. Do I think they would have scored a touchdown? Probably not. But the one thing I do like, it drives me crazy how Todd Downing, keeps running those bum players in the game all the time. So it's like Swaim and Hollister. And last week at Green Bay, Torrey Carter was in there all the time. And it's like, these guys freaking suck. Why do you keep putting them in the game? Well, in the 2-minute drills, those guys never play. In the 2-minute drill, it's Burks and Woods and Hooper and the guys that, have talent. And so if they had been in a 2-minute drill with 1:57 to go, that's who would have been in the game. The guys who have talent. I don't think Tannehill would have scored a touchdown there, but the way he was playing, I would have liked to give him a chance. And I ultimately think that it would have come down to Tannehill taking some shots to the end zone for Burks, because he's the only guy who's got that kind of talent. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025 if you want to weigh in here. Here's another thing that I think we all have to be honest about when it comes to Cincinnati, because even I didn't give this kind of credit. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We will get in and back to your phones, your calls, and your texts. 615-737-1025. Preds fans, hang out before the Preds games at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway with 102.5-106.3 The Game. Place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials. Plus, enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Duchene.
Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Give the gift of luxury this holiday season. Nothing is more elegant than a trip to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Gift cards from Bob's Steakhouse or Mocara Day Spa make wonderful gifts for any occasion, especially during the holidays. The foodie in your life will enjoy an evening of fine dining from the award-winning Bob's Steakhouse. Bob's Steakhouse specializes in serving big, flavorful steaks next to Texas-sized portions of delicious sides. The special person in your life will be comforted with the gift of relaxation and rejuvenation when they receive a gift card to Mocara Day Spa. Let the spoiling begin with a soothing facial, hot stone massage, body treatment, salon service, or mani-pedi. Bob's Steakhouse and Mocara Day Spa in the luxurious Omni Nashville Hotel. Purchase your gift cards today.
What's up, everybody? Michelle Knezvik here for Superbook Sports. And when it comes to sports, listen, everything is happening right now. Football, basketball, hockey, a little postseason baseball, and soon enough, the World Cup. And there's no better place to wager on all of it than Superbook Sports. When you sign up, deposit, and wager all in the same day, Superbook will give you a bonus up to $1,000. Yes, I said it, $1,000. When the sports world is busy, it is time to get busy winning some money. So download the Superbook Sportsbook app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Calling all sweet tooths. Head to Nashville Toffee Company, a place where rich, chocolatey daydreams are created from a secret family recipe generations in the making. Their toffees and candies are handcrafted in Nashville using all natural, kosher-certified ingredients. Sweet creamery butter, pure cane sugar, premium roasted nuts, deep rich chocolate, and sea salt. Visit NashvilleToffeeCompany.com or drop by their headquarters on Air Lane Drive for a positively hassle-free shopping experience. Whether you're buying for 1 or 100, Nashville Toffee Company is here to make your holiday gift-giving easy.
On the Tuesday edition of Chase, Willie, and D-Mace, we'll be joined by Preds GM David Poyle at 11:15, followed by Tim Hasselbeck at noon, Mitch Light at 1 o'clock, and then Clark Lee at 1:30. The party starts at 10, around 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
So the Bengals are in business. Burrow uncorks it. End zone! Touchdown! T. Higgins! Cincinnati takes the lead. One-on-one. Higgins wins the battle against the rookie McCreary.
Watch this route because Higgins wins it by being physical at the end with the rookie with McCreary. Because they are hand fighting with each other, and the official said no advantage. Let you guys figure it out who's going to win the battle. And Higgins, with that deft little push at the end of the play, allows him to get space, elevate, and complete the touchdown.
Ian says he would have thrown a flag on that.
It was borderline. He used the two-hand push. It's a
I
borderline push.
Borderline, sure. I personally would not have thrown the flag on that. But then again, what do I know? I would have thrown the offensive pass interference there. I thought that was a physical play in a physical game. And let me say something. This Joe Burrow, this cat, man, I tell you, he's freaking special. I mean, he is. Let me say this about the Titans. It's not an accident that the Titans are 0-3 against Joe Burrow. And each game has had a different story for why they're 0-3. The first game was that 2020 defense was so bad, and Jonathan Joseph and Clowney and Beasley, and it was a mess, and oh my God, and yes. Last year, Ryan Tannehill throws 3 interceptions, and yes. And this year, Titans did everything wrong and got sucker punched by the Bengals and got out-toughed at their own game. But in all 3 of those games, Joe Burrow has made every big throw at every big moment, just like he did last year after the 3rd Tannehill interception when he ran the exact same post route that he ran earlier in the game, right there in the corner for T. Higgins. He ran it to Jamar Chase that put the Bengals in field goal range, that led to the Evan McPherson game that sent him to the kick that sent him to the AFC Championship game. And here's the thing, Joe Burrow, you know when the Titans played Kansas City, and I said that I thought the Titans were going to win because I thought Tannehill was going to play, and I said the Titans are a bad matchup for Kansas City. The reason I said that is because the Titans are tougher than Kansas City. Kansas City's soft. If things don't go Kansas City's way, Mahomes and Kelsey, they throw their helmets. They throw the ball down the field. They get angry. They get like Aaron Rodgers last week, where Aaron, things weren't going his way. Aaron's running around. He's throwing it short. He's not trying to get hit. He's not all those things. Not this guy. This guy is unflappable. They sacked him 9 times last season, and not once did he look spooked in that pocket. Matthew Stafford, who won the Super Bowl last year, who everybody in the national media tells me I have to put in the Hall of Fame, Matthew Stafford, he got sacked a couple times by the Titans at home on Sunday Night Football, and all of a sudden he was pooping his pants throwing interceptions at the goal line to the Titans. Not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow does not get rattled, and that's why Joe Burrow has the magic elixir for the Titans. He has Vrabel kryptonite, and that Vrabel kryptonite is the fact that Joe Burrow might be the only guy in the league that is as tough or tougher than Vrabel. That toughness that Vrabel has, that was why he was one of the linchpins on that first wave of Patriot championships, him and McGinnis and Bruschi on defense. The reason that the Titans are what they are is because that transcends to the players. And so the players, when it's time to bow up and make a play, they're not worried about going into Foxborough or going into Arrowhead with Malik Willis at quarterback. They seem to find a way. They play with discipline. They play with effort. They are violent just like Vrabel was, because Vrabel was tough. And so what happens is that transcends to the players, and they out-tough their opponent. So the defensive line out-toughs the offensive line. The DBs out-tough the receivers. Those Kansas City receivers, they were getting hit like crazy. That's why Travis Kelce threw his helmet in the Sunday night game. But it doesn't matter to the Bengals, because the Bengals are all as tough as their quarterback. And that he is unflappable. I got to tell you, somebody said yesterday, he's like Tom Brady. And I said, talking about Joe Burrow, I said, no, he's not like Tom Brady, because you can rattle Tom's cage. You really can rattle Tom Brady. You can't rattle Joe Burrow. The only way you beat Joe Burrow is to throw the first punch at their defense before Joe Burrow gets going and to do exactly what the Rams did last year in the Super Bowl, which is hit him before he hits you. You go back to that last play where Aaron Donald sacks Joe Burrow, or Joe Burrow throws it as Aaron Donald's basically throwing him to the ground. And in that play, Jalen Ramsey was beat by Jamar Chase for a touchdown. The ball Burrow ended up throwing landed about 3 feet away from Pirine. That was a beautiful play by Joe Burrow. And if Joe Burrow had had just a second longer, it's probably a touchdown to Jamar Chase. And even then, after having been sacked 7 times already and having to come out of the game with a knee injury and go back into the game on the same knee with which he tore the ACL, Joe Burrow still put together a drive that had Cincinnati in striking distance. Joe Burrow is freaking awesome. And so while I'm going to get on the Titans, and I've gotten on the Titans, and I didn't think the Titans coached very well yesterday, and I don't think the Titans, I think they played too many bad players, and I didn't think they tackled very well, and I thought their special teams was a mess, and they dropped too many passes, and too many things that if they did, they could have won, just like too many interceptions last year in the playoff game, just like how they didn't get it on a 2-point conversion and everything. Again, Joe Burrow is the magic elixir. He is Vrabel kryptonite because he is as tough or tougher than Vrabel is. And that is a compliment that I don't just give around. I mean, nothing phases Joe Burrow. Nothing ever phases him. And it gets to the rest of that team. And I will tell you, I don't know how the Bengals lost 4 games with him as their quarterback. I was telling somebody before the game this weekend, I said they play Buffalo on a Monday night. He's going to go up there and win. He's going to win that game. I mean, I look at Joe Burrow. I see John Elway when I look at Joe Burrow. The size, the confidence, the ability. Do you go back to some of those playoff games with John Elway? That's what I see with Joe Burrow. And when Joe Burrow gets older, he'll need a Terrell Davis. But that's what I see. This dude has Hall of Fame written all over him. I love watching him play, even though he always beats my team. He is a special player. He is as tough. I'm not as worried about Patrick Mahomes as I am Joe Burrow. I am certainly not as worried about Aaron Rodgers as I am Joe Burrow. Not worried about Lamar Jackson like I'm worried about Joe Burrow. They play Justin Herbert and the Chargers in a couple weeks. And Herbert's got all these stats. And I'm not worried about Herbert like I am Joe Burrow. And I love Herbert. But Joe Burrow, he coaches that team. He leads that team. He is that team. It's not an accident that Ed Orgeron was on the hot seat. Joe Burrow shows up. They win the national championship. Joe Burrow leaves. Ed Orgeron gets fired. Zach Taylor's on the hot seat. Joe Burrow shows up. They end up in the Super Bowl. That's not an accident. I was listening to a podcast Ed Orgeron was doing, and he was talking about how on Joe Burrow's recruiting visit that Joe Burrow went up to him, and the way Ed Orgeron told it, he was like, he comes up to me and he says, I don't want to do the recruiting stuff. I just want to eat crawfish and talk football. So we're in the football facility and we're talking football. And it took about 5 minutes, about 8 guys of us in the room, and we're watching football, and it took about 5 minutes for every guy in that room to realize that Joe Burrow was the smartest guy in the room. Joe Burrow is this guy, I can't give you enough compliments on Burrow. And yesterday, that dude never wilted. I knew that when they gave the ball back to Cincinnati with 6:11 to go in the game, I knew they weren't getting it back. I knew it because I knew Burrow. He's smart. He's got the arm strength. He puts the ball right on the spot. He trusts his receivers. His entire team believes in him. It transcends through all 3 phases. He is Andrew Luck, but tough. That's what he is. He's a tougher version of Andrew Luck. He's awesome. So I do want to mention that. And again, that's kind of the thing, is he's got the Vrabel magic elixir. I see your phones lined up. We're right to him next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company. Titans Monday, 1025, 106 through the game.
every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. After a start in the 40s the afternoon, middle 50s for us here. Partly to mostly cloudy, and the next chance for some showers and maybe even a few thunderstorms will take us into late Tuesday into early Wednesday morning.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Genesis Diamonds kicks off the holiday season with the largest luxury pre-owned Rolex event ever this weekend. We've brought in an expanded selection of pristine, like-new Rolex timepieces. Hundreds in stock for this special event, including all the hard-to-find models. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. It's an unprecedented buying opportunity. Great prices and special zero-interest financing for 5 years. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex or get one for someone else. Get the watch of your dreams and spread your payments over 5 whole years. Also, our buyers are on site for this event. So if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special holiday pre-owned Rolex buy-sell trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Open Sundays till Christmas.
This holiday season, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts from TaylorMade and Bushnell. Featuring the TaylorMade Stealth Carbon Woods with 60 layers of carbon for faster ball speeds. And while you're there, grab a dozen TP5 golf balls. And from Bushnell, save up to $75 on the Tour V5 and Tour V5 Shift rangefinders. There's also gift cards for those favorite golfers on your list. Don't miss these holiday gifts and more happening now at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
Chase McCabe.
You get a little fired up for that. Pads start popping.
Willie Donick.
And you're just thinking, this guy's unbelievable.
And Derek Mason.
Now I got to run a little bit faster so I don't get hit.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
It's a 35-yard attempt for the rookie. Shootout. It's no good.
And a successful field goal kick from beyond the 20-yard line as return to the spot of the kick.
In his NFL debut, Caleb Shudak made his first one, missed his second one. And no points for the Titans.
And a really good drive by Tennessee wasted on that one. Last minute 55 of the half, take it downfield, put themselves in prime position, put points on the board going into the locker room, and Cincinnati able to wave it off.
Can I ask what it will take in order for the Titans to go out and get a good kicker? Not just, forget good. Don't need good. Serviceable kicker. Because big boy Randy Bullock ain't that either. They've lost 2 games because of special teams at home this year. And don't you dare ask the coach if there should be an expectation on a kicker to make a 35-yard field goal. This was Vrabel after the game.
On that one that didn't go right, was it something with the hold or just the...
Yeah, like they always, when we miss them, it's a bad snap, a bad hold, and a bad kick. Make sure you write all 3 of those down. That's what happens.
Bad snap, bad hold, bad kick.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't make it.
But sometimes it's something with the operation. Other times he just pulled it. So that's what I was trying to get your perspective.
Maybe I just think we missed the kick. We missed the kick today. Caleb missed that one, but that was, when we used to miss them. We went through all those kickers that one year. Every time we'd miss one, I'd blame the snap or the hold, and the kickers like that.
Well, guess what? You know what I don't like? Missing 35-yard kicks. By the way, CBS showed a close-up of that field goal as it went to commercial when Shudak missed that kick, and it was a perfect snap and a perfect hold. So the guy just sucks. And I'm sorry, you miss a 35-yard kick, you suck. This is the NFL. You miss a 45-yard kick, you kind of suck. You miss a 35-yard kick, and it's like Vrabel, don't you dare ask about kicking. Because just because I've been the coach for 5 years, and for 5 years we haven't been able to figure out the position, don't you dare ask me and my staff to try to figure out how to get somebody in here that can kick. Because clearly they can't do it. Don't you dare ask it. No. You're not allowed to just expect your kicker to make a 35-yarder. Nope. Can't do it. Rick's in the borough. He's up next. Been holding patiently. Thank you for calling. What you got for me, Rick?
Hey, how you doing? I'm listening to what you're talking about, and before I get to my issue with Tannehill, I heard you bring up John Elway. If you never saw this game, I've been a Titan Oiler fan since 1974, and the Houston Oilers broke my heart many a times, and one game was against Denver, in Denver, against Elway. I think it was 1988. And Houston was winning, and Elway had the ball, I think, on his own 15-yard line with a minute and a half left in the game. And you know what happens next.
Yep,
he
John
drives
Elway.
The team. Excuse me.
And Joe Burrow, I'll tell you, Rick, Joe Burrow has a lot of John Elway. Just my opinion. I think Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are the new Elway and Dan Marino.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on Tannehill, Rick?
Yeah, and also you were just talking about kickers. I've emailed John Robinson a couple of times letting him know about Bullock. I've seen his career. I've had DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket since 1996, and I've watched his games, and let me tell you something. I don't have the stats and where you could break everything down, but I know in the fourth quarter, Bullock has missed so many crucial game-tying or game-winning field goals when he was with other teams.
He killed the Titans, Rick.
Cincinnati and Texas.
It's funny. He killed the Titans. Thank you for your call, Rick. Bullock, and again, this isn't about Bullock because he didn't kick yesterday. Shudak did. I mean, I don't know where they find these freaking guys at, by the way. Some of these kickers they've had. I don't know where they found this guy at. And he can't kick it from 35. But Randy Bullock, the Titans had lost a game. Mariota broke his leg against Jacksonville in 2016, and they needed Cincinnati, ironically, to beat the Texans in order to make a Week 17 Titans-Texans game be for winner take all. And Randy Bullock had a chip shot field goal and missed it, and the Titans ended up not being able to play the Texans for a spot in the division. So I'm well aware of how many kicks Randy Bullock has missed. I don't understand why it's so hard for the Titans to find a kicker, other than the obvious. And the obvious is that they have a special teams coach that does not know if the football is pumped or if it's stuffed. And I just keep asking this question over and over again, which is, I mean, how many kickers do they have to run through before we say, okay, well, they can't kick? Because all these kickers that they ran through here over the years are all kicking somewhere else. Greg Joseph can't kick. He's kicking somewhere else. Cairo Santos can't kick. He's kicking somewhere else. Ryan Suckup can't kick anymore. He won the Super Bowl. He's kicking somewhere else. So we know that their special teams coach can't figure out the kicking part of the special teams. We know that they can't figure out punt return or kickoff return because over the years they haven't been able to figure that out. They drafted Adoree Jackson to be a punt returner. That failed. They drafted Kyle Phillips to be a punt returner. That has failed. They signed Dion Lewis to return kickoffs. That failed. C.J. Board yesterday, he's fielding punts at the 6-yard line. He's taking the ball 2 yards out of the end zone, getting to the 18-yard line. So we know that's an unmitigated disaster. And so they can't return. They can't find a kick returner. They can't find a punt returner, and they can't find a kicker. They can punt. And yesterday was not the best display of punting from the Titans yesterday, but they can't punt. But I just wonder how many times are we going to have to watch Cam Batson, for instance, take the ball and kneel down in the end zone for a safety? How many times are we going to have to watch Indianapolis on that Thursday night come in here and block a punt? And how many times? I mean, they lost a game because they hit the snapper in the head. That is basic football. Everybody knows the rule. You can't hit the snapper. You can't hit the snapper. Everybody knows it. I mean, I don't know why I know it, but I do. Oh, it drives me crazy. Jake texts in about Joe Burrow and me saying that Joe Burrow is unflappable. Jake says that Joe Burrow threw 4 picks in week 1 and has several games with multiple interceptions. He's definitely flappable. The difference is that doesn't stop Joe Burrow the next time he goes out there. It does not stop Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, he made a mistake last year against the Titans, threw an interception on Monty Hooker. Didn't stop him the rest of the game. Got sacked 9 times. Didn't stop him the rest of the game. Joe Burrow never lets one mistake become 2. Tannehill throws 3 interceptions in that game. We don't hear from him for 5 months. He goes into hiding. Joe Burrow lost the Super Bowl. I love Joe Burrow. I really do. And I don't love him like if you love Joe Burrow so much, why don't you marry him? I just love him in the appreciation for what he brings to the game and what I feel honored to watch. Joe Burrow, when he was Joe Burrow went and partied with Kid Cudi, who I think is a rapper. They had him at the Bengals Super Bowl party after they lost the Super Bowl. And people are like, you're up there partying on the stage with Kid Cudi. Why are you doing it? And Joe Burrow said, because I watched the Football Life documentary on Kurt Warner, and he said that he regrets that the year they lost the Super Bowl, he didn't enjoy it enough. So he wanted to make sure that even though they lost, and he hated that they lost, that they enjoyed the Super Bowl. And I'm like, that is so well thought out. Everything that kid does, it's tough, it's well thought out. Joe Burrow, he's special. He is special. And again, I would say we are all lucky to get to watch that, even though it's against our team. And the Titans have no answer for him. I want no part of another game with them. If the playoffs were to end today, Cincinnati would come in here for the wild card round. I want no part of Joe Burrow. No part of Joe Burrow. No part of Cincinnati. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. Let me tell you, probably not the most egregiously disappointing, but probably where the Titans least met my expectations yesterday. And I wonder if this is a problem. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Running across, making the stop, UC Cerro.
We talk the game.
That wraparound goal by Sanford was a beaut.
Tanner Janot, Ryan Johansson gets on the board.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity line of credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have, credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
These are battles, these are grinds. We don't panic, we don't freak out. That's how we're built. 1, 2, 3, 9.
This is your drive to the playoffs update, presented by Coleman Tractor, Tennessee's largest Kubota dealer, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Tennessee Titans saw their record fall to 7-4 on the season on Sunday as they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals by a final score of 20-16. The Titans couldn't get the run game going as Derrick Henry only had 38 yards on 17 carries. Henry after the game.
Yeah, this one definitely, it hurts, but at the end of the day, you just got to learn and grow from it. Come in tomorrow and watch the film and see what we need to correct and fix and get better, and then focus on improving into the next one.
The Titans were flagged for a late roughing the snapper penalty that helped clinch the game for Cincinnati. Head coach Mike Vrabel talked on Monday about what he saw on the play.
Well, I just think anytime you do that's going to be a penalty. That's not a decision or anything that we want or need. That's we have to be careful. They're only looking for certain things. Make sure you don't cover them up and make sure you don't have the appearance of hitting them in the head or neck. So it's not something we can do.
The Titans will try to get back on the winning track as they shift their focus to the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles. Kickoff in Philly is set for noon on Sunday. This report is presented by Coleman Tractor. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Caroline is out today. Titans losers yesterday, 20-16 against the Bengals. And the thing that frustrated me the most was the fact that the offensive play caller feels just this unwilling desire. He cannot stop himself from putting in Jeff Swaim in the red zone and blowing 2 red zone opportunities. My second biggest frustration is the special teams coordinator that has never had good special teams here. Ends up having a unit that hits a snapper in the head, which again is a personal foul penalty. Everybody knows that. And can't have a kicker make a 35-yard field goal. But probably the most disappointed I was, because I expect the coordinator to be obsessed with Jeff Swaim, and I expect special teams to be an unmitigated disaster. But the biggest problem I had yesterday is, what happened to the defense for the Titans? Now, I've been on here for weeks, and I've been telling the entire country, I've been saying, hey, this is an elite defense. Bud Dupree, Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons, David Long Jr. You all know how much I love Amani Hooker. I love the grit and the tenacity with which Roger McCreary plays with. I think Kevin Byard's a great leader. I think they've got good situational players, good role players like Mario Edwards Jr. and DeMarcus Walker and Dylan Cole. And I love this defense. And they play like Vrabel. And they're disciplined, and they're in their gaps, and they're great tacklers like Andrew Adams. And I love this defense. And I know coming into this game they're ranked 18th. Now they're ranked 21st. I know they were ranked 18th. But I felt like they were an elite defense. I felt like they proved they were an elite defense when they went on the road and played 100 snaps against the Kansas City Chiefs and held them to 20 points in 4 quarters and overtime. And yesterday, I'm sitting there in my seat. And again, maybe I didn't have enough respect for Joe Burrow, but I'm sitting there in my seat watching Cincinnati just move the ball, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. And I want to know what was wrong with the defense yesterday. Now, I am going to be fair. Part of it could be the fact that the offense didn't sustain anything and time of possession, unlike the Green Bay game, where they had the ball for the entire second quarter. The reality is that the Titans didn't have the ball in most of the first half, so they played a lot of plays. Part of it is they went up against one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league who made great throws. They've got a great receiver in T. Higgins who went up and made great plays. It was a physical game. But too many times in my notes yesterday, I wrote, too many yards on first down. Bengals 1st and 10 at the Titans 45. Too many yards on first down, gain of 5. Second down, Pirine, gain of 4. No push, defensive line. It's like too many times the Bengals just push the Titans around. Too many times the Titans missed a huge, huge tackle, the kind of tackle that they can't miss. It's like, what are they doing? They actually have the Bengals backed up. Great field position for the Titans. And the Bengals are backed up. And on the first play, they run the ball, and they pick up a bunch of yards, and a horrible missed tackle by Amani Hooker. 1st and 10 at the Cincinnati 8 in the second quarter with 7:29 to go. And Joe Burrow throws the ball to Pirine, and Amani Hooker takes a terrible angle and misses a horrible tackle, and Samaje Pirine gains 32 yards. I mean, what happened to that defense? And I already know, and we've already had a caller call in about it today, and I've already seen it in the text line and everything else. Well, Danico Autry wasn't in there, and so you don't think you can expect the defense to... Wait a minute. Whoa. Now, I love Danico Autry. If there was a Danico Autry fan club, I'd be the president of it. But the thing about this defense that I'm so proud of is the fact that this defense is not reliant on one guy. The thing that's made this defense so great is how Zach Cunningham can get hurt and Dylan Cole and Joe Schobert can enter the lineup and the play of the defense doesn't drop off. What makes this defense so legit is the fact that, yeah, Jeffrey Simmons is the beast that makes it go. But when Jeffrey Simmons was out against the Broncos, the Titans still got pressure on Russell Wilson. The Bengals have a terrible offensive line. They don't have a bad offensive line. They have a terrible offensive line. And the Titans got no pressure on Joe Burrow. And so I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, hey, did I expect Jeff Swaim to make plays in the red zone? No. So I can't really be mad about Jeff Swaim not making plays in the red zone when they put him in the game. And it's obvious they're running the ball and they don't get anything because, Trey Hendrickson knocks the crap out of them. Can't be mad at Jeff Swaim when Ryan Tannehill throws it to him, hits him in the hands, pops in the air. I can't be mad about that. I'm not at the coordinator for playing him because he doesn't need to be out there because they have 2 tight ends who are better than him. But you know what? Fine. That's my expectation. When the Titans bring out Mega Man to kick Caleb Shudak and he goes out there and he misses a 35-yard kick before the half. I'm not happy about it. But were you surprised when he missed that kick? Were you shocked? I know I wasn't. But, man, I'm disappointed in the defense. Too many times I wrote down yesterday, bad tackle. David Long Jr., who's been one of the best defensive players on this team, he missed a tackle to start the game. This has been one of the most sure tackling teams out there. I have, for weeks, told you how much I appreciate their tackling. And they're just, to me, they sacked Burrow one time, and then they had the intentional grounding in which they got to him. But outside of that, Joe Burrow just stood in the shotgun, just waited on the ball, and threw it exactly where he knew he was going to throw it and put it exactly where he wanted to put it. And I'm like, if you're an elite defense, you get the ball with 6 minutes to go. Again, the Titans ended up kicking the field goal in the fourth quarter, which I didn't agree with. But Vrabel probably doesn't kick that field goal if he doesn't really, truly believe in the defense. And I don't mean believe in the defense where he gets up at a press conference and he says something along the lines of, we believe in our defense, like Mike Mularkey got up there when the Titans lost to the Vikings one time and said, any chance we have with number 8, Mariota, out there, we believe. Okay, Mike. But I think Vrabel actually believed in his defense when he went to kick that field goal, which, again, I still don't understand why he kicked it. But when he went out there to kick that field goal, he's thinking with 6:11 left to go in the game, the defense can get the ball back. And instead, Burrow to Higgins for 8, P. Ryan for 2, first down, Burrow to Hurst for 8, Williams for 16. I don't even know who that Williams was, by the way. I mean, at some point, he thought they were going to get the ball back. And if you've got an elite defense, your elite defense gets you the ball back. What they did against Kansas City, that defense, they get you the ball back. And I was just watching the game. I'm like, how can you not? How do you give up all these yards on first down? How do you not hold up in the goal line where they get a 7-yard touchdown run? How do you let 88 manhandle you on a jump ball on a 50-50 ball? You cannot let T. Higgins get positioned like that, Christian Fulton, Roger McCreary, on the 2 jump balls they had. I mean, no pressure, too many scrambles from the quarterback, too many yards on first down. They got pushed around physically, and they didn't tackle well. That's not the defense I've been telling everybody about for the last couple of weeks. That's not the defense that I've been sitting there saying, hey, this defense is legit. This defense is elite. I understood it last year when Bud Dupree was in the lineup with all 4 guys, with Dupree, Autry, Simmons, and Landry, and they got to every single quarterback, whether it was Mahomes or whether it was Allen or whether it was Stafford, and they made that guy's life miserable. They goaded Carson Wentz into losing that game on the road in Indianapolis. Yesterday, Joe Burrow just did whatever he wanted to. They had 9 sacks of Joe Burrow last year. What happened to the defense? If they got that same performance, and I know Vrabel said yesterday after the game almost mockingly, we're not going to expect to get 9 sacks. But if they play the way they played last year on defense, Titans would have ran away with that game yesterday. So what happened to the defense? This is the defense that made Aaron Rodgers look miserable the other day. What's wrong with the defense? So I would say that's probably where I'm most disappointed. It's not where I'm most angry, but it's probably where I'm most disappointed. I'm disappointed in the fact that the Titans defense, which I thought was elite, loses one player, a $7 million guy. Now, I love Autry, but he's a $7 million guy, and they're not the same. I mean, when Danico Autry went down and it looked bad at Green Bay, I was sitting there like, no, not Danico Autry. And the fans were booing in Green Bay because Tier Tart had faked the injury on the play before. And so now Danico was down, and the Green Bay fans thought that Autry was faking the injury. But I knew Danico Autry was really hurt, and I was like, oh, no. But if you have an elite defense, as much as I love Danico Autry, you can't be completely reliant on one guy. And I just thought the Titans defense, even though they only gave up 20 points, and even though I guess technically they did get the ball back, and then old buddy hit the snapper Other than that, I was disappointed. I expected more out of the defense. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Here's the other thing that I think we all need to adjust our line of thinking when it comes to Cincinnati and when it comes to that quarterback, and I don't think the Titans' defense was there. We'll get to that. 615-737-1025. FanDuel Sportsbook is my official sportsbook app. One of the things you got to love about betting on the NFL is they've always got new players or game props that are out there for you. What's cool about FanDuel is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout, which is perfect for tonight's Monday Night Football game, Steelers and the Colts. I would say take the under. I would say take under rushing yards Jonathan Taylor, over rushing yards Najee Harris. That's just my pick for tonight's game. FanDuel Sportsbook is easy to use, easy to register, easy to deposit, and easy to find your bet. They've got live betting, so it's easy to place your bet during the game if you see a trend you like. And you get fast withdrawals. When you win, FanDuel pays you your winnings quickly. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with a promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM. And make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner from the NFL. 21 and older and present, Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
College football.
Touchdown, Georgia. Nice catch and move by Holden. Touchdown.
Lives here. Don't miss every exciting play each Saturday.
Into the end zone. Touchdown to the freshman, Dane Key.
It's all presented by Twin Peaks, your home of 20-degree drafts and wall-to-wall sports, and by Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
They say a good craftsman never blames their tools, and the best always choose the right one for the job. For the builders and makers of this world, nothing beats knowing you've got what you need to get the project done. Northern Tool is a problem solver's paradise. And with savings of up to 50% off and great new deals dropping every week, we've got the perfect gift for all the solvers on your list. We're made for this. Come see us in store or shop online at northerntool.com.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
This holiday season, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest gifts from Callaway and Bushnell. The Callaway Rogue ST Woods are designed with AI for faster ball speeds. And while you're there, grab a dozen Callaway Chrome Soft golf balls. And from Bushnell, save up to $75 on the Tour V5 and Tour V5 Shift rangefinders. There's also gift cards for those favorite golfers on your list. Don't miss these holiday gifts and more happening now at Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7, with supplies and solutions for every industry, and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Defense, everybody gets a game ball. Yes, sir. Their lead back, 17 carries for 38 yards. And I saw tip balls, I saw sacks, I saw Mike Hilton jumping in there for tip balls. It doesn't matter whose number was called. Everybody on that defense stepped up to the plate. That was awesome. Offense, everybody gets game balls. Last 8 weeks, they haven't given up over 100 yards rushing. You guys got over 100 yards rushing. Okay, we played the style of game we needed to play today. Okay? And I'm not leaving out special teams. You guys get game balls too.
Cincinnati, boy, they were having a party in the locker room yesterday after the game. Everybody gets a game ball day, which, I mean, I did that with the Titans last week, so what can we say about, Cincinnati doing that this week? Let me say this. If I was Cincinnati, I'd have one big old game ball. Joe Burrow. Though I would give one to DJ Reader, too, their 350-pound nose tackle, who just bullied Aaron Brewer yesterday. Bob Shoop's going to watch the tape. He's going to be on the show tomorrow. Coach Bob Shoop, he's going to be by. We'll see how he felt the line played versus their line. But regardless, here's one thing. On top of the defense and the Titans' defense and what bothers me about the fact that I know they only gave up 20 points, and they technically got the ball back at the end of the game where they forced the field goal, and then they hit the snapper in the head, which was just so stupid. But what bothers me is when the Titans played Kansas City, I don't know if you guys felt this way or not, but I felt like when the Titans played Kansas City, the defense played with a sense of urgency on every snap. Like every snap of that game was, hey, Mahomes could pop one any second. He could pop an 80-yard touchdown. And no matter what we do, we are not going to let Mahomes do that. And then against Green Bay, I felt the same sense of urgency. They never really felt comfortable until the final incompletion from Rodgers, where it was like, okay, now we know it's over. Now we know we took care of business, because they saw what Aaron Rodgers did the week before against the Dallas Cowboys. And even though Green Bay stinks, we all know what Aaron Rodgers is capable of. It kind of reminds me of that playoff game at New England a couple years ago where the Titans won, where I don't think they really took it easy until Brett Kern put the ball at the 1-yard line with 1 second to go, or whatever it was, and Brady ends up throwing the pick six to Logan Ryan. I felt like, that entire game, that Titans defense was locked in like, Tom Brady at any moment, he could be Tom Brady. And I don't think they play with that same level of respect for Joe Burrow. I don't think they played that way in the playoff game, but they played so great by sacking him 9 times that maybe they didn't feel like they needed to play that way. But I think they've got to play that way against Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is just as good as every other great quarterback in this league. I mean that. Like when it comes down to, and Zach Taylor said this after the game yesterday, he goes, we would not trade our quarterback for any player in this league, period. And considering that Zach Taylor would be fired by now if he didn't have Joe Burrow as his quarterback, I understand why. I mean, I have, and I don't mean to knock Mahomes by saying this, because Mahomes is going to the Hall of Fame. But I'm more afraid of Joe Burrow than I am Patrick Mahomes. And I think the Titans, when they play Joe Burrow, they definitely didn't treat him this way in 2020, and he lit their butts up. And they definitely didn't feel that way in the playoff, in which they sacked him 9 times, but Joe Burrow still made every big throw he needed to make. And I really don't feel like they approached this game that way yesterday. I think they treat Joe Burrow like he's a good quarterback, like Stafford or Dak or Lamar or that group, like how I assume they'll approach Justin Herbert. Whereas I think they need to approach Joe Burrow games like they're playing Mahomes or Brady or Rodgers. And any question about, what tier does this quarterback or that quarterback, or guys, Joe Burrow is just as good as any quarterback in this league, and Joe Burrow's a winner. Aaron Rodgers is not a winner. Joe Burrow is a winner. And I think the Titans need to start treating it that way. Texter to the text line says, the Bengals have zero respect for the Titans after that game. They own us until we prove otherwise. Somebody else texted in earlier, and they said, what about you talk about how Vrabel's the best coach in the league and Zach Taylor is 3-0 against Vrabel. And let me say this. I think Zach Taylor is a total boob. I don't think it's about Zach Taylor, guys. I don't think it's about the Bengals. I don't think it's about the makeup of that team. I don't think it's about that owner with that ugly-ass hat he had on at the Super Bowl. I think it's about one guy, Burrow. Guys, Joe Burrow, at this point in his career, has had more success than Peyton Manning did. And I always joke about the MVP awards. Peyton Manning is with the Colts. They're Super Bowl contenders every year. He has neck surgery, doesn't play. They're the worst team in the league. Who do you think the most valuable player in the sport is? The Bengals, for 30 years, have been an abysmal franchise. Minus that couple of years they had Carson Palmer, and they didn't win any playoff games. And that couple of years they had Andy Dalton, and they didn't win any playoff games. But for my entire football watching life, which coincides with the Titans moving from Houston, the Bengals have always been a team. When they used to play in the AFC Central, the Bengals were always a W on the schedule. That organization sucked. All their quarterbacks sucked. All their coaches, terrible. They were a joke. They were a joke with this guy coaching them. People forget about this. The Dolphins were tanking to get the number 1 pick that year, and they won more games than the Bengals did, and that's how the Bengals got Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow shows up, and by year 2, they're in the Super Bowl. That's what Peyton Manning basically did in Indianapolis. They were 3-13 Peyton's first year. The second year, they're 13-3. He carried the entire organization. He carried the coaching staff. He carried the chief owner. It's Burrow. That's what I'm saying when I talk about the Titans defense and this sense of urgency that they played against Kansas City with, where it was like every possession was, be careful because this guy right now on any play, I know he doesn't have Tyreek Hill anymore, and I know we've kind of held Kelsey in check, but this guy on any play could end the game, and they played with that laser focus, and they did not play with that laser focus yesterday against Joe Burrow. And they need to start treating Joe Burrow like that because Joe Burrow is that good. Texter to the text line says, if the playoffs started today, the Titans would play the Bengals in Nashville and would once again be one and done. If so, can coaches' heads start to roll? Whoa. First of all, the Titans could win the Super Bowl. And I think that they should fire their special teams coach, Craig Aukerman. He stinks. And he never gets any better either. And now they don't even make excuses for it. Nobody talks about it anymore. They're just so used to Aukerman sucking so bad that nobody says anything about it, but he's horrendous. But I don't know what the Titans will do if they go one and done in the playoffs this year. The one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to assume that yesterday's game means they're going to be one and done in the playoffs this year. Because that's not how the NFL works. Now, am I concerned with the fact that the Titans' strength of victory is by far the lowest of any competitor in the AFC? Yes. But last year they had a great strength of victory, which meant that they were beating really good teams. They beat the Bills, they beat the Rams, they beat the Chiefs, and it didn't matter come playoff time. And the 9-7 Titans in 2019 that got to the AFC Championship game had to make it the last day of the year, and that's only because the Texans took everybody out because they had already clinched their playoff spot. So the playoffs are kind of fickle, and they're kind of weird. And so I don't look at yesterday's game as, they're done in the playoffs. But I am concerned. I am concerned that they haven't beaten anybody who's any good. I am concerned that they're 0-3 against Mahomes and Allen and Burrow this season. I am concerned that they can't make a 35-yard kick. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. What's funny about life I'm sure you guys all have these at your jobs, and I know I have this at mine, where I feel sometimes like I make a bad decision in my job. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad radio host. Sometimes I feel like I have bad shows. And sometimes I get really down on myself if I feel like I have a bad show. Doesn't happen very often, but every now and then I have that feeling. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad host. Mike Vrabel did not have a very good day yesterday as a coach. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The choice is yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Achieve hero status this year. The woman in your life will love this unique and thoughtful gift. Always in style, always fits, always appreciated. Choose your budget, and whether you spend a little or go lavish, she can choose from 10 different services, all under one roof at a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Gift cards can be printed directly from the website, or they can be beautifully wrapped for a stunning presentation and even paired with other gifts like robes, candles, and all sorts of fun finds from the Gift Boutique. Learn more about this at amomentspeace.com/Christmas.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/enjoy. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/enjoy. That's BARTESIAN.com/enjoy for Bartesian's best deal ever, only at bartesian.com/enjoy.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge.
But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $69.99.
You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Being part of Cromwell Media, who owns this station, is a big deal because it's our people that make us what we are. So we're saluting Nicola Spencer and our sales department for 18 years of service. Ted and Holly Klimkowski have put in 12 years as our engineering and IT wizards. Willie Donick, midday host on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and voice of the Predators, celebrates 11 years this month. And Yvette Wright in sales passes the 1-year mark. We salute them all and invite you to join the team. Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com.
The Sports Talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game.
Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
What was the thought process kicking versus leaving the offense on the field on that last fourth down there in the fourth
quarter? Just trying to, secure some points and get a stop. That's what the thought process was. And, at 4th and 5, we were trying to just make it closer for Caleb, the 3rd and long. I think the process was that we could get it stopped and, have a chance to either win the game or tie it. That's what the thought process was.
we could get them stopped, and then we could go down there and tie it with a 4-point kick. That was Mike Vrabel yesterday on his decision to not go for it. And I got to tell you, Mike Vrabel's a great coach. I think he's the best coach in the NFL. I do. And I think the Titans get more out of their players. And if they played that game yesterday and got that same performance out of Tannehill, which I thought was a great performance out of Tannehill, I think the Titans will find a way to win. Because I cannot imagine that the Titans will make the same amount of mistakes that they made yesterday. But the head coach is certainly not absolved of blame. This is kind of a problem as far as the groupthink is concerned. Everybody loves Mike Vrabel. Everybody thinks he's a great coach. Everybody thinks that he is just, almost a sacred cow. That he is unblameable when it comes to mistakes that the Titans make. And I don't feel that way. I like Vrabel. I think he's a great coach. I have no idea if he likes me. But I do think about it like this, which is yesterday I thought that the coaching as a whole was terrible. And unlike everybody else that's just going to point coordinator, I think Vrabel bears some of the blame. For instance, you think that when they decide after they throw the ball down to get inside the red zone and they're going to run Derrick Henry, just run him right into that Bengals defensive line that shut him down last year, that has 2 good pass rushers and has a 350-pound defensive tackle that Mike Vrabel loved when he was the defensive coordinator of the Houston Texans and DJ Rader played there? You don't think Vrabel can hop on the headset and say, hey, we can't battery ram it up in there? Of course he can, but he didn't. I didn't like the poor clock management at the end of the first half. I thought the Titans were doing a really good job of getting down and moving the football, and maybe some of that was Cincinnati's defense. But the Titans get down there, and again, they got a 35-yard field goal, and they didn't make it, so it wasn't the end of the world. But the Titans are moving the ball down the field, and they hit Hooper for a gain of 12 yards with 53 seconds left. With 40 now to 47, they call timeout. Good timeout. Use your first timeout. That's fine. Tannehill then on second down passes it short to Westbrook-Akine, which sets up a 3rd and 5, and the Titans take the second timeout, and I don't like it because it was a short gain, and it is setting up a 3rd down. And you're already essentially in field goal range. When you call that second timeout at the 32-yard line, you're going to go for a first down. If you get the first down, now you're going to wish that you had your timeout back. If you don't get it, it's going to be okay that you let some time roll off because now Joe Burrow doesn't have enough time. So Tannehill completes the ball to Westbrook-Akine, and I don't know what the point of that was. I don't know what Tannehill was thinking. But don't call that timeout to start up the 3rd and 5. Then they end up completing it for 10 yards. And the great tackle by Cincinnati to keep Woods in bounds, but now they have to call timeout. So now they've got 17 seconds, and they're at the 17, and they've got no timeouts. So now every throw has to be to the end zone, which it was not. It really handcuffed their ability there because of how he called that second timeout. And again, if you're the best coach in the NFL, you got to manage the clock well. I did not like yesterday Vrabel's challenge. I really thought that the Bengals did a great job of completing that pass on the sideline, and it was the far sideline away from Vrabel, and they ran to the line, and Vrabel didn't know what to do. Vrabel was flustered, and he decided, and this was a quick trigger decision, and I'm not going to kill him for this, but Vrabel stood there on the sideline. The replay booth did not have enough time to tell him whether or not he should or shouldn't challenge it. The scoreboard people did not have enough time because the Bengals hurried up to the line to flash up there on the scoreboard so Vrabel could see it. So Vrabel decided that gain by Cincinnati is important enough for me to challenge and for me to waste the timeout if it doesn't come to fruition. That was a calculated risk. He threw the flag. I wouldn't have thrown it because I valued that timeout too much, and I didn't see an angle that made me think I could change it. I was thinking maybe they saw it quickly and said, challenge upstairs. He said after the game that wasn't what they said. I thought it was an impulsive decision. It's a tough decision. I'm not going to kill Vrabel for it, but I didn't like it. And then I thought that was too conservative. At the end of the Titans offensive series in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes to go, down by a touchdown, I think it was great to pick up the 10 on 3rd and 15, sets up 4th and 5, and then they run the field goal kicker out there. I hated it. Now, If this was going to be to make it a 3-point game instead of a 4-point game, I would have been okay with it. But because it was going to make it a 4-point game, you still need a touchdown. I don't want to give the ball back to Joe Burrow. Basically, the assumption that you're making is, okay, if we kick this field goal, it will extend the game, and we will still have to get a touchdown. Or we could just try to get the touchdown right now. And I vote try to get the touchdown right then and there. It's like I was watching Sunday Night Football last night. Matt LaFleur, who's terrible with the clock. Matt LaFleur made a similar mistake where Green Bay was going for it, 4th and short down around the Philadelphia goal line, and they jumped, and Green Bay sent the field goal unit on. And I'm like, why? There's not enough possessions. Given the way the defense was going, there's not enough possessions for them to be able to kick this field goal and stay in the game with Philadelphia. And at that point, you got to go for it. And at this point for the Titans, there's 6 minutes to go in the game. And if you give that ball back to Joe Burrow, I didn't think you'd get the ball back. And so I thought Vrabel, I don't know why Vrabel kicked that field goal. Again, his explanation was, well, we figured we'd kick it, and then by doing it, he extended the game. But you're extending the game into the hands of Joe Burrow. Even though the defense got to stop, and this defense had been getting creased by Samaje Perine and the Bengals run game, and Burrow's able to put the ball wherever he wants, and he's really in command, and you're going to put the ball back in his hands with a lead? I didn't like that. That's like in baseball. You're down 2 runs in the 8th inning, and so you decide to bunt to get one of those runs back. No. You do not give up that out right there. So I thought all in all, I thought Vrabel had a pretty bad day. And those special teams penalties. I mean, Vrabel, the don't do dumb stuff to hurt the team. You hit the snapper in the head. You cannot hit the snapper in the head. That's basic football. You cannot hit the snapper in the head. And, of course, they hit the snapper in the head. So I got to put that one on the coach, too. So even though I think Vrabel's a great coach, I still really thought that he didn't have a great day yesterday. I mean, again, individual play calls I'm not going to nail Vrabel for. And the fact that, the defense on the 7-yard Samaje Perine touchdown, the Bengals brought in all their big jumbo package guys, and the Titans didn't match with more fat guys on the field, which I thought was ridiculous, and that's how Cincinnati gets 7 yards in there. That, to me, is a Shane Bowen problem. That's not a Mike Vrabel problem. But when you hear on the headset that you're going to throw a screen pass to Jeff Swaim in the red zone, that's a Mike Vrabel problem. That's a timeout. We're not doing that. And then, dumb stuff that hurts the team, undisciplined penalties, that's a Vrabel problem. But, man, I did not like, especially, and going back to why I still thought it was ridiculous to kick that field goal, the guy had just missed from 35 before the end of the half. So you're going to ask him to go out there and kick the same field goal again? And you pretty much lose if he misses it? I did not like it. I did not like that decision. And again, I like Vrabel. I think Vrabel's a great coach, but I did not think he had a good day yesterday. And I have a theory behind why I think Vrabel probably had one of his worst coaching performances of the year. I didn't think Vrabel had a bad coaching performance against Kansas City when they lost. I didn't think Vrabel had a bad coaching performance against Buffalo when they lost, though I was shocked that he took Tannehill out of the game in the third quarter. Do not take a quarterback out of the game in the third quarter. I was stunned by that. I didn't think Vrabel was very good in the loss to the Giants. I thought Vrabel was terrible yesterday. I have a theory behind it. 615-737-1025. Then I promise I'm right back to your phones. 615-737-1025. Titans Monday, Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
Strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible Tuesday evening and into the overnight hours. All modes of severe weather appear possible. Heavy rain also around with highs in the upper 60s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today. Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and you can give the gift of Preds hockey this holiday season with the Smashville Stocking Stuffer presented by 47 Brand and Local IQ. This includes 2 hockey tickets, a Preds 47 Brand hat, and a $20 food voucher, all starting at just $79. Visit NashvillePredators.com/stocking for more info, or check out the 5-game pick plan presented by Hattie B's. Pick any 5 games and select your seats, plus receive a Preds car flag and a $10 gift card to Hattie B's. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets for details.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just 3 guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt.
Hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
All 4 phases didn't do a good enough job today, being coaching and special teams, offense and defense.
Mike Vrabel says, hey, that's the new got to play better, got to coach better, but he's not wrong. Offense, terrible in the red zone. Defense, gave up too much bad tackling, which I was disappointed with. Special teams, you name it. Punting was bad. Kick returning was bad. Obviously missing a 35-yarder right before halftime, in which the Titans would have had all the momentum going into the locker room, and then getting the ball to start the second half was bad. Hitting the snapper in the head was bad. So, yes, all those phases were bad, and the coaching was bad. And I said it. Look, I thought Vrabel was bad. I thought Downing, again, keep running plays with Jeff Swaim in the red zone. See where that gets you. Keep throwing screens to Jeff Swaim. See what happens. I thought, the idea that they were going to try to run that ball right into DJ Reader, 350 pounds, with 280-pound Aaron Brewer was ridiculous. So I didn't think, that Downing had a very good game, especially situationally. And I didn't think Vrabel had a very good game situationally. But I do wonder one thing. And this is where distractions come into play. I don't think the players were distracted by Todd Downing's DUI. Chris Sanders, I asked him about, would the players even care? Todd Downing gets a DUI, it's all over the news or whatever, but I think a lot of the times the players are like, well, what's that have to do with me? And Chris said, well, I think the players would care just to make sure that he's okay. And when I heard that, I could be wrong. I thought, no, Chris, you would want to make sure that he's okay because you're that nice of a guy. But I think almost all the other players would just kind of be like, whatever. That's his business, not mine. But I do wonder if the Todd Downing DUI was a huge distraction for Mike Vrabel this past week. And I'm starting to think that it was, because Vrabel is undefeated coming off of extra rest during the regular season. And they had the extra rest after the Packer game. But think about Mike Vrabel's schedule. And this is where the distraction element comes into play. Mike Vrabel probably watched the film on the way home from Green Bay, and on Friday morning probably would have had a quick meeting with the team. Great job, guys. Here's what we want to focus. Everybody take off. See ya. And then they would have started preparing for the Bengals, and they would have been able to have a couple days off and would have been able to relax and recharge on Sunday, and then all of a sudden be back at work, and they would practice on Tuesday and install the game plan and really talk about Cincinnati. And instead, all of a sudden they get home. Mike Vrabel probably gets a call at 4:30 in the morning, and it's, hey, Todd Downing just got a DUI. And now Vrabel's thinking, oh, God. And so how many meetings over the course of the week do you think Mike Vrabel had about Todd Downing's DUI? You think Mike Vrabel, when he had his press conference at 11:30 a.m. on Friday after the Green Bay game, after Todd Downing had gotten booked in prison, you think Mike Vrabel had a meeting before that press conference? You think the Titans brass, by the way, they have a president who is a lawyer who was the former general counsel of the team. You think they probably talked to the coach before he went out and talked to the press? You think he probably had to meet with the NFL, who's launched an investigation into what went down on that plane and how Todd Downing got home and what the punishments were and what the culture was? And you think he had any meetings about that? In fact, Vrabel probably had meetings with people before he had meetings. And because now, with the technology that we've all learned about during COVID, it's really easy to meet. So if the NFL says we want to meet, it's a lot easier than flying people down from New York to set up a meeting for next Thursday. It's here's the link, click it, let's go. Think about all the press conferences that Vrabel had to prepare for that aren't the same of Vrabel going up there and it being like, what's the key to the run game? But more so, who's going to be the coordinator this week and having to address that? Vrabel even said that they had a backup plan. If the league brought down discipline, they would be prepared, which means that somebody else he had to spend time with during the week getting ready to do Todd Downing's job if Todd Downing was not able to do his job. How many meetings do you think Vrabel had and will have because of Todd Downing's DUI? You think he's done with it? You think the Titans organization is done with it? Friday morning, you think that Vrabel gets the call about Downing and then just decides, hey, we're just going to go on with football as is scheduled. We're going to prepare for the Green Bay game. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to have meetings about it. We're not going to. You really think that? Or do you think that the organization said, hold on, we need to all meet as a group to decide how you're going to address this? We need to all meet as a group after we talk to Amy. You think there was a meeting with Amy after Todd Downing got booked on a DUI? And then you got Todd Downing, who had a press conference on Thursday. You think there was a meeting before Todd Downing had that press conference? You think there was a meeting with lawyers, with his lawyers, about what he could say, what he shouldn't say? You think there was a meeting with Todd Downing, with Mike Vrabel about, hey, the NFL is going to ask questions. Here's how we have to approach this with the NFL. So think about all these football coaches, and considering that Jeff Saturday won a game after being hired off of TV, I really don't think football coaching is as serious as the football coaches make it out to be. But I'm sure they take their jobs very seriously. But think about just the mentality of the football coach and the idea of, we don't have any time. We don't have any time to waste here because every second that we waste is a second that Green Bay or Dallas or Arizona has, and we can't give up a second. So everybody, I remember at training camp this year, one of the coaches' families was there, and the coach practice is over, and the coach starts running, and the family says to the coach, I watched it all, the family says to the coach, they go, hey, you got any time? Like, I got a meeting, I got to go. These guys get no time to themselves. All they ever do is talk about how hard they work, how much film they have to watch. You don't think that interrupted the schedule? And I love Mike Vrabel, I do. But I feel like I know Vrabel well enough to know that Vrabel probably spent all week wasting time saying, this is not going to be a distraction for us. Dude, you can't make it not a distraction. It was what it was. So I just kind of felt like I just kind of felt like, again, maybe Vrabel was a little distracted with the Downing stuff. Maybe that took away from what Vrabel had been accomplishing before with the team and the way that things were, and then all of a sudden the DUI comes, and now Vrabel's got all these meetings, and it takes away from the preparation for Cincinnati. And maybe that explains why, again, I didn't think the Titans coached very well, including him yesterday. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Phone lines, of course, are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Texter says, when are they going to realize that if there are 7 or 8 in the box, they cannot run Derrick Henry? I would do play action every time until they back off. First of all, the Titans have been seeing 7 or 8 in the box ever since Derrick Henry went bananas on Jacksonville with that 99-yard touchdown run and that 238-yard game on Thursday Night Football 5 years ago. Every time. So that's not the idea that you think the Patriots, when they played in the playoffs and Derrick Henry ran for 180 yards, or the Ravens the next week, you don't think they loaded up the box? Of course they did. The problem for the Titans is understanding where their limitations are. And this is what I didn't like about the Titans' game plan. Sharon Moore, that's not a name that a lot of people know, but a lot of people should. He's the offensive coordinator at Michigan. He was the offensive line coach / co-offensive coordinator last year. He didn't call the plays. The guy who did call the plays went to Miami. So now Sharon Moore got promoted. And Sharon Moore, Michigan is a running team. If you watched the game on Saturday, and I know most of you did, Michigan is a running team. And their star running back was out, and Ohio State, after having Hassan Haskins run all over them last year, Ohio State said, we are not going to allow this. Never again will this happen to us. And so Ohio State loaded that box, and Ohio State said, you better throw the ball if you're going to beat us. And that's what Michigan did. Sharon Moore realized, we're not going to just run the ball up there every time in order to beat Ohio State. And you notice that after they started hitting some deep passes, then the running game started to come. I'm going to defend the Titans coaches when it comes to running Derrick Henry, because I don't think play action or anything with their offense works if they don't run Derrick Henry. But what I don't like is I don't like the idea of having an entire backup offensive line there against DJ Reader and that group. And I just felt like they were going to try to hammer that nail in there as opposed to maybe try to change things up with how they did it. That bothered me. They hit the shot to Burks. The passing game, which was good last week, is starting to work now. The effects of Derrick Henry were still real, even though they were stopping Derrick Henry. They just didn't take advantage of the effects of Derrick Henry. And that's what bothered me. 615-737-1025. I see your phones loading up. We will get to them. 615-737-1025. Plus, it's an inconvenient reality that the Titans find themselves in. And I don't have an excuse for it. We'll get to that coming up next here on Stillman & Company. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, right to your phones on a Titans Monday, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Tennessee touchdown! Middle Tennessee gets the score.
We live the game.
Just work on the little things every day.
They think the coaches are just coaches.
We are.
We got pass rushers.
Checkered flag in the air.
Awesome Game 7.
What a stop made by UC Sarah.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Genesis Diamonds kicks off the holiday season with the largest luxury pre-owned Rolex event ever this weekend. We've brought in an expanded selection of pristine, like-new Rolex timepieces. Hundreds in stock for this special event, including all the hard-to-find models. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. It's an unprecedented buying opportunity. Great prices and special zero-interest financing for 5 years. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex or get one for someone else. Get the watch of your dreams and spread your payments over 5 whole years. Also, our buyers are on site for this event. So if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top top dollar or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition. And our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special holiday pre-owned Rolex buy-sell trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Open Sundays till Christmas.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Do Tennesseans know every word to Rocky Top? Well, the construction industry doesn't call our area rock country for no reason. Parman Tractor and Equipment is your tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's employee-owned Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. So if you hit rock, need a breaker, and it's time to dig, give them a call. Rent a track loader, an excavator of any size for landscaping, building a pool, construction, utilities, or more. Visit ParmanTractor.com, providing totally outrageous customer service.
O'Reilly. Don't miss See Better, Drive Safer Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts with great deals on wiper blades, headlight bulbs, and more. Right now, get up to a $20 gift card after a mail-in rebate with the purchase of select Sylvania bulbs. Plus, get double O Rewards points with your purchase. Prepare for the weather ahead during See Better, Drive Safer Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne,
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman and Company, Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We had pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Where you have a voice.
We're one play away from an injury.
He knows this. He's a study of the game.
And we have strong opinions.
He's been awful. I don't think they were trying, and that's why I feel the way I feel.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman and Caroline Fenton. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
So the Bengals are in business. Burrow uncorks it. End zone. Touchdown. T. Higgins. Cincinnati takes the lead. One-on-one. Higgins wins the battle against the rookie McCreary.
Watch this route because Higgins wins it by being physical at the end with the rookie with McCreary. Because they are hand fighting with each other, and the official said no advantage. Let you guys figure it out who's going to win the battle. And Higgins, with that deft little push at the end of the play, allows him to get space, elevate, and complete the touchdown.
And that was your game-winning score. Stillman and Company's delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. Caroline's out today. So, again, we'll get to your phones in just a second. But certain plays in games that the team loses, you have to sometimes just shrug your shoulders and say, hey, that guy made a great play. And that throw from Joe Burrow into the end zone and that catch by T. Higgins, and he had a couple of those yesterday, sometimes that's a guy just making a play on these really good teams. When the Titans lost to Kansas City, I shrugged my shoulders because one of the big catches Kansas City had was a giant bobble in the air that was brought down by Noah Gray. I'm like, what are they supposed to do with that? Now, when they play the Washington Commanders and they give up a touchdown with Caleb Farley having Diami Brown run right by him, now I'm not very happy. But when they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow puts that ball right there on a dot, sometimes you got to shrug your shoulders. And there's a stat That's not a complicated stat to understand. But I'm not going to excuse it away. The Titans are 0-3 against Buffalo, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. And at the end of the day, those are the three teams that are probably in front of the Titans in the AFC. I know the Ravens are leading that division right now. I know the Dolphins are leading that division right now. But when it comes to contending for the Super Bowl, last year it was Kansas City, Buffalo, Tennessee, and Cincinnati. And right now, the Titans are 0-3 against those guys. And I can excuse away each one of those games. Buffalo game was early in the season. Taylor Lewan got hurt early. Buffalo got a big lead. It was a raucous crowd. It just, everything happened at one time. Caleb Farley gave up a bunch of touchdowns. He's no longer on the team because he sucks. And then he got hurt, so they've gotten better there. I could talk away the Buffalo game. Buffalo's not the same team they were then. Talk that away. The Kansas City game, Titans dominated defensively. Derrick Henry ran the ball great. Malik Willis at quarterback. They're not going to win any real games with Malik Willis at quarterback, which I would agree with. And if Tannehill had played, which, again, I've said this and I still believe it, if Tannehill played in that Sunday night game, the Titans would have won. All that I can give you. Yesterday, early in the show, we had somebody text in or call in, I can't remember, and they brought up, well, how much did it hurt not having Ben Jones and about D'Amico Autry? And in this game, hey, if they don't hit the snapper in the head or if they throw the offensive pass interference flag on T. Higgins for that touchdown, which Ian says that he would have thrown that flag for, which I would not have thrown the flag for on offensive pass interference. But all those things are true. That, hey, you can talk away this Bengals loss. They only gave up 20 points. Hey, if this guy catches the ball or if that guy doesn't, we could do that all day. But the fact is the Titans are 0-3. 0-3 against Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Buffalo. And I asked this question, which is, I know the Titans played poorly yesterday. Regardless of why they didn't tackle well or why they didn't run the ball well or why they couldn't play special teams yesterday, they did not play a good game. But did they not play a good game because they had guys hurt? Did they not play a good game because they were reading their press clippings after beating Green Bay where everybody gave them a bunch of credit? Did they not have a good game because the team was distracted by the offensive coordinator's DUI over the weekend? Or did they not have a good game because it's easy to look good against the Colts and the Broncos and all these other teams, Washington and the Texans, and it's easy to out-effort the Houston Texans because they got no talent and no coaching. It's easy to beat the Denver Broncos. Everybody's doing it. Carolina embarrassed them yesterday. Russ got yelled at on the sidelines. And yet when the Titans play the good teams, they don't win. You could argue the Commanders game was a good win. They won by the skin of their teeth, and Carson Wentz played quarterback. And they don't need Carson Wentz at quarterback. They're much better without him. They lost to the Giants, who have actually turned out to be a good team. So I know people thought the Colts or the Packers were going to be good going into the season, but they're not. So they'll get more opportunities. They'll play Philadelphia. They'll play Dallas. Those are good teams. And I don't know if they'll be able to beat Philadelphia or Dallas. But I do wonder if one of the reasons why the Titans, everybody gets so frustrated about the bad play calling after yesterday, which they've had bad play calling in the wins. I'm frustrated about the special teams. They've had bad special teams for years. Maybe it just happens to bite them when they play a Joe Burrow, because that won't cover up for the mistakes. Matt Ryan is bad enough to not punish you for all of your mistakes. Joe Burrow's too good. And maybe that's why they're 0-3 against Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. And I got to be honest with you, those, in my opinion, are the three best teams in the AFC. And if I had to pick them, I'd go Cincinnati 1, Buffalo 2, Kansas City 3. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. Thank you for hanging patiently. Chris has been waiting. He's up next on Todd Downing. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Jared. Yeah, it's weird how this season is playing out. I mean, they're basically beating the team they should and losing to the teams better than them. But they've been competitive in every game except the Buffalo game. But going back to this game yesterday, I think you're right about the Todd Downing thing. I think it affected the coaching staff more than it affected the players.
Sure.
D-May said earlier today that he didn't think it was, it wouldn't bother the players. And some players may be able to put it out of their mind, but I think it affected the Vrabel's press conference after the news came out. He sounded like he was either hungover or just totally exhausted, and he probably had been up all night, hadn't had no sleep. And you just, on a short week, you think Brave, after what happened last year with Cincinnati, you're going to let them come into your house and beat you again? Something was off.
So I actually think that it was, thank you for your call, Chris. It was a distraction for Vrabel. And just think about all the meetings that Vrabel had to have because of that. You think that all of a sudden Todd Downing gets a DUI and Vrabel's going to say, hey, we are not going to concern ourselves with this. We are not going to take our attention away from Cincinnati, and that he's actually allowed to live that life? Of course he's not. How many meetings do you think Mike Vrabel had between 4 a.m. when Todd Downing got booked and 11:30 when he met with the media?
They probably had meetings about meetings.
I mean, they probably had. You don't think that they've got a meeting with the NFL or that they had a discussion with the NFL, especially with the NFL knowing that the Titans were on a long weekend so that they didn't have to worry about getting ready for a game? So, hey, if we want to talk Saturday, we can talk. So if the NFL says we want to talk Saturday or the NFL says we want to talk Monday, you think Vrabel's going to tell the NFL to shove it? The NFL is not Paul Kaharski asking a question at a press conference. If the NFL says we're meeting at Monday at 2 o'clock on Zoom, Vrabel better be on Zoom at 2 o'clock with the NFL. And so if they're going to meet with the NFL, even if it's about nothing, even if nothing comes of this, which is what I find to be incredibly likely, that Todd Downing will probably plead to a lesser charge, and so nothing will probably come of that, and they're not going to fire him, and the NFL will probably suspend him for a couple of games, whatever. All of the meetings that they have to have where they have to meet with the NFL to talk about is they're drinking on the plane, well, the Titans have to meet amongst themselves before they go meet with the NFL. And just think about how many meetings Vrabel had to have and how many conversations Vrabel had to have with Amy, with John Robinson, with Burke Nighhill, with Adolfo Birch, the general counsel of the team. Just, there's no way it wasn't a distraction. You think that Todd Downing went to that podium on Thursday without being coached exactly what to say beforehand? If he didn't, then he's stupid. I'm assuming that he did. Then again, a lot of the decisions Todd Downing makes, man, I can't defend. John is up next. Thank you for calling the show. 615-737-1025. What you got, John?
Hey, were you at the game yesterday?
I was at the game yesterday, John.
Very low energy, I thought. And I felt like the game day presentation, the video boards during the TV timeouts did nothing to help the crowd get more excited. I felt like all the game day presentation videos were very well produced, but very low key, very kind of more serious, not for the football crowd. What do you think?
What do you want them to do? You want them to be like, all right, fans, let's get it up.
Sure, play those movie clips that gets the crowd into it a little bit. Sure.
I mean, they did that yesterday with that, who run it? We run it, which I think is terrible, by the way. I think it's so stupid. But that to each their own. I've always thought that first down, I thought that was stupid, but I think that's caught on a little bit, I guess. I don't know. I mean, look, man, when I go to the football game, I go to the football game for the football. And yeah, me too. I'll tell you what gets me into the game as a fan. Sacking the quarterback is what gets me into the game as a fan. And when Joe Burrow on third down runs up the middle and picks up 13 yards and a first down, that's going to quiet the crowd.
Yeah, our crowd got loud when we had them pinned inside the 10-yard line a couple times. But other than that,
there's
not a
just
whole lot.
No way. John, good call. There's just no way to artificially pump up a crowd. There's just no way. I mean, I remember for years we'd always have these discussions about what could X team do to get more people to care. And every time Floyd would just be like, you got to win. That's it. You got to win. And it's like USC football. Nobody in Los Angeles cares. Get to the playoff, be number 2 in the country next year, they'll care. Because I've seen them care in Los Angeles. I mean, that's how I feel about Vanderbilt. You get a real coach in here for Vanderbilt basketball. They start winning some games. They get to a Sweet 16. They're playing Tennessee, who's number 4 in the country. It'll be a packed house. It'll be all anybody's talking about. Get to the NIT and try to pretend like it matters. Nobody's going to care. So, I mean, I don't think the Titans game day presentation is really all that exciting, to be honest. But I also don't, come on, fans, make some noise. It's third down. That doesn't really do it for me. Though, if I could, while we're on the topic, just make one suggestion. Is that allowed?
Yes.
Okay. I would like the return of Judge Mills Lane. Is Judge Mills Lane still alive?
That is a good question. I will check.
I mean, he used to be on the People's Court. He also was that boxing ref. And for about 15 years, he showed up the first season. And I don't even remember what he did the first season, but they had videos of him. And it was Judge Mills Lane on the Jumbotron. He'd go, defense, let's get it on.
As far as I can tell, the honorable judge is still with us.
Can we bring Judge Mills Lane back in here to do an HD version of the defense? Let's get it on. Because I did enjoy that. Then they would show like some clapping dinosaurs or whatever. It was weird. But it had a vibe to it. And that maybe could help the crowd a little bit. But other than that, again, you want to get the crowd into it, sack the quarterback, which they didn't do yesterday. You want to get the crowd into it, pick off a pass. You want to get the crowd into it, score touchdowns when you're in the red zone. And they didn't give the crowd enough to cheer about yesterday. And, again, some of that, the question is, how much of that is because of Cincinnati and what Cincinnati did? 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The stats tell me one thing, my eyes tell me another. We'll explain. 615-737-1025. TriStar Moving. Those are my official movers. I love TriStar Moving. I hate moving in general, but when you move with somebody like TriStar, like I did 2 years ago, you're going to be like, oh my goodness gracious, I'm so glad that I have you as my moving company and not somebody else. The truth is with TriStar, they've got an excellent staff, and you can be assured your movers are carefully picked and highly trained. I've always told people, just get a bid from TriStar, because moving's expensive. It's like anything else that costs a bunch of money. Get a bid. You're not just going to want to look at one washer and dryer if you were to buy a washer and dryer. You're going to look at a bunch, and you're going to compare prices. Moving should be the same. Get a bid from TriStar Moving. You'll get to know how great their staff is when you interact with them. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, they take a lot of pride in this. They are Nashville guys through and through, and it is a family feeling when you move with TriStar. So if you're looking to move, get a bid. Give them a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio, and they'll give you 10% off your entire move. And 10% is a lot of money when we're talking about moving, because moving is expensive. So get a bid. Again, that's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, official movers.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at thegamenashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes, like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 $1,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports. Can you beat Vegas this football season? Superbook Sports gives you the chance every week to go head-to-head with the best odds makers in Las Vegas. No fancy computer algorithms. No guys across the pond setting lines for American sports. Just the best team of odds makers in the business behind the counter at the Superbook in Las Vegas. Plus, Superbook features some of the best odds boosts and promo bets anywhere. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com and start your battle against Vegas right now. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
In the past, hair loss was inevitable. Now, you have a choice. For thicker, fuller-looking hair, trust the experts with 45 years of experience at Hair Club. Hair Club stylists have helped more than 500,000 clients love their hair again. No matter your age or stage of hair loss, Hair Club can customize a solution for you. Hair Club is proud to offer products and services for every type of hair and budget. Book a free consultation at hairclub.com. That's hairclub.com.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Craneworks is ready to help lift Nashville. As the Southeast's most trusted name in crane and equipment rental for over 30 years, Craneworks offers certified operators to make sure the job is done right. Rentalworks has a diverse fleet of equipment to assist in any project, big or small. From forklifts to carry deck cranes, they have it all. When it's time for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project, call Craneworks. Visit craneworks.com.
Never miss a moment of the show. What is this? Check it out. Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Something about this team for you guys? I think this is the last 3 in a row they've got you, and they've all kind of looked the same.
I don't know. Just, they've been playing better the last 2 times we faced them. Maybe see them again, just try to play better the next time. But, I know. That's definitely in the back of my mind, and, just got to move on from it.
Derrick Henry's like, I don't like being 0-3 in my last 3 against the Bengals. By the way, what happened to half the guys on the team last year weren't on the team this year? What happened to it's not the same? Because that's what we were talking about last week, right?
Not a revenge game. Not a revenge game.
Not a revenge. No. It had nothing to do with last year.
0-3, but 0-3 creeping in Henry's mind there a little bit.
You lost your last 3 in a row against them. All 3 very different. See, here's the thing that I can't get over. Like that 0-3 against Cincinnati, that's not an accident. Again, I can talk away all 3 games. I can look at the first one in 2020. Remember, that was the Jonathan Joseph game. And so we can say Jonathan Joseph, a backup, old man DB that ended up retiring, got cut the next day. They picked on him the whole game. He was terrible. Tannehill was terrible. They lost that game. Okay, fine. It's Jonathan Joseph, 2020 defense's fault. Because that had Arthur Smith and Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis and A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. I mean, that had the whole band. And they still got beat. And then last year, Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. I thought that one away. This one? Well, they hit the snapper in the head. They missed a 35-yard field goal. They were 0-2 in the red zone. They gave it the big plays to T. Higgins. They could have thrown a flag for offensive pass interference. Sure, I could talk all 3 away. But the reality is the constants are kind of the same. Vrabel, Tannehill, Zach Taylor, Burrow, and every time they get the best of you. So you can't talk that away. I'm sorry. Something's not right. And I'll tell you, I think it's Burrow. I think the reality is the Titans don't have a great team as far as talent or sexiness or anything like that, and this is why nobody ever believes in them. But they just grind at teams. They wear them down so that they're not tough enough. So that that's why they're so good against the Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Staffords, or they just wear them down to the bone. And then they get a Joe Burrow in there who's just as tough as they are, if not tougher than them, and that's why they can't beat Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow is freaking awesome. He is freaking awesome. Aiden is up next on our program, 615-737-1025. What you got, Aiden?
Hey, guys. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I wanted to ask you, so are the Titans an elite team? Because I think right now they're the 4 seed. I don't see us beating the Bills again. I don't know if the Chiefs, that's a toss-up. The Ravens is also a toss-up. Are the Titans our elite team?
Let me ask you this question. Who is an elite team, Aiden?
I think any team with Patrick Mahomes, that's an elite team. You can argue the Ravens, but then they just blew it to Trevor Lawrence, who, kudos to Trevor Lawrence, has had the best game of his career. Then, the Bills, Josh Allen has a turnover problem. I don't really know. The AFC, it's up for grabs.
So here's the way I look at it. Good call, Aiden. No, I don't think the Titans are elite. I'm not sure there's an elite team in the NFL right now. I guess we'll see on Sunday because Philadelphia is a team that everybody tells me is elite. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I just don't think Jalen Hurts is that good, and maybe we'll see. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't think the Titans had the respect for Joe Burrow that I feel like he is due after what we saw yesterday and what he did in the playoffs and what he's done for that organization. And maybe Jalen Hurts will make us all say that same thing this upcoming week. I'm not there yet. But how many elite teams are there in the NFL? Now, I feel stupid for thinking this because I'm 33 years old, which means that the Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Nate Newton, Dallas Cowboys, Russell Maryland, Darren Woodson, the Cowboys dynasty was when I was, 2, 3, 4 years old. Outside of that, I have never believed in my entire life that the Dallas Cowboys had a Super Bowl team. I never believed it with Tony Romo as the quarterback. I never believed it with Wade Phillips as the coach. I never believed it when they had Jason Garrett. That year they had Dak and Zeke as rookies. I've never believed it since then. And boy, I tell you, I love that Dallas Cowboy team. They've got an excellent pass rush. They've got a solid offensive line. I don't know how that old kook drafts as well as he does, but he can draft. They've got a bona fide number 1 receiver in CeeDee Lamb. They've got a great running back in Tony Pollard. Dallas, if I had to tell you right now who my favorite for the Super Bowl was right now, it's hard to say Dallas because it's such a clown show all the time, and Uncle Mike's the coach.
Yeah, you love that coach.
Such a dumb Uncle Mike. But I think I'd have to go with the Cowboys. But the whole point is there's just not an elite team out there. To me, there's just not an elite team. Now, the teams that are better than you, it looks like they're better than you. We'll see, because you get Philadelphia and you get Dallas. And if you go 0-5 against the quote-unquote possible elite teams in the NFL, so you lose to Cincinnati, you lose to Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Dallas, then I think we kind of have an idea going into the playoffs. But my eyes still tell me after that Kansas City game, and I know they lost that game, but my eyes still tell me they have a team good enough to compete. Even though it's hard to say that after yesterday. Lorenzo's up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. What you got, Lorenzo?
Hey, what's up, Jared? Hey, how you doing, man?
Good.
So I'd tell you something that concerned me about the Bengals game was, one, the fact that, Jamar Chase nor Joe Mixon played. So you have 2 Pro Bowlers out there that probably at least one of them would have scored a touchdown. So there have been more points in our defense. But I think the biggest problem for us, and it has been for the longest time, not so much like, say, with Joe Burrow throwing the ball, it's when plays break down, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and now Jalen Hurts, they run the ball. That's a big problem for us. So when we play against, like, Aaron Rodgers and guys that just stand up in the pocket, we come after those guys. But I think, moving forward, we're a good football team. But I think if we don't resolve that issue when we play in the playoffs against Joe Burrow or any quarterback like that, that's going to cause us to lose, man. So more than anything, I think Joe Burrow should get credit, for just running the ball. Same for Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen as well. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think that's a good call. And it is not lost on me that has been an Achilles heel of this defense. Whether you want to go back to the AFC Championship game against Kansas City where Mahomes had that run before halftime, or you just want to go through this year, Daniel Jones was a problem running the football for the Titans in week 1. And so Daniel Jones was a problem with it. And obviously yesterday Burrow was a problem with it. And, Tannehill's one of those guys, too, who he's not Michael Vick, but, hey, he can hurt you with his legs. And half the quarterbacks in this league are like that. Now, we'll see what they decide to do on Sunday, because I don't think they're going to let Jalen Hurts do what he did yesterday against Green Bay. And if he does, they're in trouble. I don't know who they can put in that spot to run with Hurts. With Burrow, I thought it was pretty simple. Just stick Andrew Adams in there as a spy. It's going to hurt the secondary. And, maybe that's kind of what they did when they cut the running out and then Burrow was throwing jump balls up for T. Higgins. But I would keep an Andrew Adams in the middle of the field and just keep him on Burrow because he was running too much. But Andrew Adams, he can run with Burrow. He can't run with Jalen Hurts. They're going to have to put a DB in there. And Andrew Adams is a DB. He can't run with Jalen Hurts. They're going to have to put a corner in there.
Maybe Josh Kalu?
I was thinking about Terrence Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell. Molden.
You're going to put Terrence Mitchell in there as a spy? Molden can't tackle Jalen Hurts. You're going to put Mitchell in there as a spy to run? Oof.
David Long, is he fast enough?
No, he's not fast. Not Jalen Hurts.
Not for Hurts.
Probably not. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. The stat that really bothers me. We'll get to that next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Mike from Newton Ford South. I don't know about you guys, but I love this time of year. I get to see all the beautiful fall colors, the fantastic weather. We're getting deeper into football season. It's just a reminder that we have so much to be thankful for. And while the automotive industry has been a bit of a roller coaster, we are still so thankful to serve the local community. We love being able to partner with local schools and organizations. We're also so thankful that we've earned business not only from our local communities, from places all across the United States. The response from customers far and wide is, "This was so amazing. I've never had a car buying experience like this." Check out our reviews online to see for yourself. So no matter if you're in the market for a new car, looking to sell your car, or even service your car, come find out why Newton is different. Change your experience. Come see us in store or visit us online at newtonfordsouth.com.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. This is great. You can keep your low mortgage rate and still get cash out. That's right. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will come your way, and it only costs you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off whatever bills you have. Credit cards, consolidate other debt, or start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need the appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
When it comes to procuring my adult beverages for the big games, I saddle up and head to Red Spirits and Wine. Red's titanic selection of beer, wine, distilled spirits, and cigars is second to none. And Red's Cracker Jack crew always delivers a winning combination of service and value. There's no two ways about it. Red is top of the range. Open 7 days a week at Highway 70 South in Bellevue. And check us out at redspirits.com.
Jonathan Hutton.
You have to put the ball in his hands in that moment.
And Chad Withrow.
My kicker's making no decisions on a football team.
Are in the game. Join them for NFL postgame after every Titans home game, live from Landshark Bar and Grill in Margaritaville on Broadway. They'll break down that day's game and look ahead to the next one. NFL postgame is presented by Two Rivers Ford, Renter's Warehouse, and Superbook Sports on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's a 35-yard attempt for the rookie. Shootout. It's no good.
An unsuccessful field goal kick from beyond the 20-yard line as return to the spot of the kick.
In his NFL debut, Caleb Shudak made his first one, missed his second one. And no points for the Titans.
And a really good drive by Tennessee wasted on that one. Last minute, 55 of the half, take it downfield, put themselves in prime position, put points on the board going into the locker room. And Cincinnati able to wave it off.
On that one that didn't go right, was it something with the hold or just the...
Yeah, like they always, when we miss them, it's a bad snap, a bad hold, and a bad kick. Make sure you write all three of those down. That's what happens.
Bad snap, bad hold, bad kick.
Mm-hmm. We didn't make it.
But sometimes it's something with the operation. Other times he just pulled it. So that's what I was trying to get your perspective.
Maybe I just think we missed the kick. We missed the kick today. Caleb missed that one, but that was, when we used to miss them. We went through all those kickers that one year. Every time we'd miss one, I'd blame the snap or the hold, and the kickers like that.
How dare you, TD? How dare you ask me why we missed a 35-yard field goal, TD? Shame on you, Tehran. I mean, seriously. Where does Vrabel get off on some of this stuff? You miss a 35-yard field goal, and then he acts like it's a felony to ask him about, hey, what the hell happened on that 35-yarder you missed, where every other team in the NFL somehow, some way makes a 35-yarder. And I also love the fact that Vrabel was asked about that penalty where they hit the snapper in the head, which is exactly what happened, which is a penalty, and everybody knows it's a penalty. And Vrabel was asked, and when I say everybody knows, I mean everybody on the line knows. You cannot hit the snapper in the head. You can't hit the snapper. He's a protected player. But Vrabel said after the game, it's not about one play technically he's right. Every coach loves to say that. It's not about one call. It's not about one play. It's not about one. Well, if Caleb Shudak makes that 35-yard field goal, which every single person with a pulse that kicks in the NFL can make a 35-yarder, I bet you could get Gary Anderson off that fishing lake in Canada right now, and he could come make a 35-yarder for the Titans. And Gary Anderson has to be 65 years old right now. And I bet he could make that kick. I mean, again, that's a 35-yard kick in the National Football League. That you have to make that kick. But if Caleb Shudak makes that kick and they don't hit the snapper in the head, the Titans get the ball back with a minute and 57 seconds, and they're driving to go win the game. And so I say all of this because the little mistakes that Vrabel wants to not talk about, those do matter, and those do add up. Now, there's a stat that is driving me insane, and it is a stat called strength of victory. Now, I brought this up on Friday, and I don't exactly know what made me look for the strength of victory from the Titans. But I did, in fact, go look at the strength of victory, and they have by far the lowest in the AFC. Almost every other AFC team has a strength of victory, which I actually like more than the quote-unquote strength of schedule, which is what we always talk about in college football. Strength of victory is it only takes into account the games you actually won. So instead of strength of schedule, where Vanderbilt always has the number one strength of schedule because they have to play everybody in the SEC except for Vanderbilt, strength of victory is only about who you beat. The Titans have by far the lowest strength of victory in the AFC. Everybody else who's a legitimate contender has a strength of victory at about 47, 48%, something like that. The Titans are sitting there at 36%, which means the Titans have beaten nobody. And that's true. The Titans have beaten the Raiders, who suck, the Colts, twice, who suck, the Texans, who suck, the Broncos, who have the worst contract in the history of sports and suck, and the Green Bay Packers, who, if last night was any confirmation, do, in fact, no matter what their press clippings were going into the season, no matter what Hall of Fame their quarterback is going to be in, they do in fact suck. So the Titans, outside of Washington, haven't beaten anybody, and Washington had Carson Wentz at quarterback when they beat him. And that strength of victory bothers me. But then I was looking it up yesterday. How does this compare with the last 4 Vrabel teams? Did the 2019 team, for instance, that went all the way to the AFC Championship game, that finished 9-7, did that team have a terrible strength of victory, or do they have a great strength of victory, and that's why they were able to pull it out in the end? Their strength of victory was 465, which is significantly better than the 357 that the Titans have right now. 2020, which I thought was their worst team of the Vrabel era that made the playoffs because their defense was so bad, their strength of victory was 398, basically 40%. Last year, they were 480. Now think about it. Last year, they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Rams, who went on to win the Super Bowl. They beat Buffalo. Indianapolis wasn't as bad as they are this year. You know, they won games against good teams. They beat San Francisco. We got talking about this last year about how, boy, it was a Mike Vrabel special year. They lose to the Texans and the Jets, but they'd go beat the 49ers and the Rams and the Chiefs. Well, this is far worse than those teams. But at the same time, last year was the best strength of victory that they ever had, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs. And the year before that was the worst strength of victory, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs. So the stat worries me because it tells me the Titans haven't beaten anybody. But at the same time, they beat everybody last year, and it didn't matter. So maybe the fact that they haven't beaten anybody this year won't matter. Because they won't beat anybody unless they beat Philadelphia or Dallas. They will not have a quote-unquote good win on their resume heading into the playoffs. The Chargers does not count as a good win. They stink. Obviously, Jacksonville and Houston aren't going to count as good wins. So Philadelphia and Dallas, that's a crack at a real win. But this isn't college football. So the Titans don't necessarily need to have that great win on the resume in order to make the playoffs. But still, it is concerning that as much pumping up as I feel like I've done the last couple of weeks about the Titans and saying, hey, they are contenders. You got to believe in this team. I believe in this team. All of those things. After yesterday's game, it all felt kind of hollow. And I thought to myself, the reason that I'm the most excited about the Titans, if I had to say there was one thing this season that excited me the most about the Titans, Ian, if I had to say to you, what is the number one thing that the Titans have done this year that excites you about their ability to compete, what would it be?
Play good defense.
But like what moment, like what seminal moment this season did you say, hey, this team can compete?
Well, I'd say probably the Chiefs game.
There you go. That's it. That's the only one. And they lost that game. And so I'm sitting there yesterday after spending a month sitting there banging the drum about how much I believe in this defense and how much I believe in this team and how happy I am for the Titans. And yes. What are you so happy about? Well, they went to Kansas City and they almost won. Did they actually win? No. But they almost did. And then I feel like I'm talking like a loser. Where I'm sitting there like, well, they played Buffalo, and they got absolutely housed. They played the Giants, and they pissed away the second half and missed a field goal. They played the Chiefs, and they lost because they don't have a backup quarterback, and their starting quarterback couldn't tough it through. And they lost to the Bengals because they couldn't run the ball. They got out-physicaled, which is their calling card. But, hey, they almost beat the Chiefs. And then all of a sudden it doesn't feel as good anymore when I look at it like that. Sean texts into the text line and says, Randy Bullock is 3 for 5 over 45 yards with 0 attempts over 50 because we know that he can't make them, still need a kicker. Let me tell you something. I'm not pro Randy Bullock. If anybody thinks that my anti-Caleb Shudak stance is a pro-Randy Bullock stance, you are wrong. This is not a presidential election where it is a binary choice between either the Republican or the Democrat. I want a good kicker, and I find both guys to be subpar kickers. I mean, Shudak owes all of us like a 65-yarder after missing that 35-yarder before the half. And the momentum, that was real momentum that came with that 35-yard kick he missed right before halftime. JD asked why they cut Lambeau, probably because he stinks too. And he does stink. I mean, I was watching him kick the ball in Green Bay. Oh, by the way, Ian, didn't you say somebody called in and said that there was a wind gust that came right as Shudak went to kick the ball? So he went to kick it. And
he he said he went to the game, and he said as soon as Shudak went, winding up and let that thing fly, let her rip, Tater Chip, and it just, I guess, one of those side Cleveland-style winds just kind of came and gave it a big gust, good right off the bat, just a big push to the right, and was off track from there.
So it was like angels in the outfield, and the angel decided to make the ball go
except the
off
opposite
to the right.
except the opposite outcome. Correct.
Yeah. Let me say this: if Mike Vrabel went up to the podium and was asked about Shudak missing that kick, in fact, we've got that cut. TD asking Vrabel about Shudak and his miss. Let's just play TD's question here, and I'll give you the Vrabel response.
On that one that didn't go right, was it something with the hold or just the
Yeah, like they always when we miss them.
TD, what happened on that kick was actually, TD, it was a wind gust came as soon as he went to load up and kick the ball. I mean, Vrabel would get laughed out of the building if he said that. There's no way that happened. I was at the game. There's no way that as Shudak went up to kick it, it was just and it just moved the ball. Talk about loser talk. Man, I tell you, that is something. 615-737-1025. I got to have somebody's back. I got to defend somebody who, in all fairness, stood up and took the criticism yesterday. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game, plus Mike Vrabel with what I thought was the most disheartening answer. We'll touch on that as well. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
Strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible Tuesday evening and into the overnight hours. All modes of severe weather appear possible. Heavy rain also around with highs in the upper 60s. For Fox 17, I'm Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Genesis Diamonds kicks off the holiday season with the largest luxury pre-owned Rolex event ever this weekend. We've brought in an expanded selection of pristine, like-new Rolex timepieces. Hundreds in stock for this special event, including all the hard-to-find models. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. It's an unprecedented buying opportunity. Great prices and special zero-interest financing for 5 years. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex or get one for someone else. Get the watch of your dreams and spread your payments over 5 whole years. Also, our buyers are on site for this event. So if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition. And our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special holiday pre-owned Rolex buy-sell trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Open Sundays till Christmas.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and every season is screwball season in my house. No matter the time of year, that rich, smooth taste just hits the spot. Y'all know Screwball. It's made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, and it's just flat out delicious. It's my favorite. However you take it, as a shot, in an espresso martini, or a peanut butter old-fashioned, make it a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Qatar, here we come.
Christian's travel agency has one goal.
Talk to you soon.
The world's biggest soccer tourney.
The hotel is 7 miles from the stadium. Are you serious? Did you email the transportation company?
Now he needs an Arabic interpreter on his roster.
I don't speak it either.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexrode.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company.
Sounds like this has been a game-changing day for all of us.
Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company. So today I got to give big ups to Paul Kaharski for asking a question that I cannot wrap my head around, which is why the Titans keep playing Jeff Swaim, though he asked it, I think, in kind of a nice way to try to get Vrabel to answer it. And the Titans, I think this might have been a big tech thing, Ian. The Titans zapped Vrabel at the podium while he was talking about Jeff Swaim, so nobody actually knows the explanation for why they play this guy who stinks so much.
You've talked about Jeff being the best blocking tight end. Has anything happened that's closed the gap there? Maybe in him blocking less well and the other guys blocking better?
Well, just going to continue to try to get guys in there. I think that Jeff had some good blocks. I think there was, a couple that, have to be absolutely better. We can't turn and dictate, where the running back runs.
Where to go? Where to go? The Titans. Somebody with the Titans. Jeff Swaim must have pictures on somebody, which is why he plays so much. That's the only thing I can come up with. Here's an example of a drive that they shot they just technical difficulties cutting out on the Jeff Swaim question. Here's one example of a drive yesterday in which shows you the difference between when Swaim is on the field and when Swaim is off the field. 1st and 10, Swaim is on the field. Derrick Henry left tackle, -1 yards. Not a good play, at least not a good result. Jeff Swaim, 2nd and 11 on the field. Tannehill complete to Dontrell Hilliard. And by the way, the defensive back who was covering Jeff Swaim was the one who didn't run with Swaim because he went to go tackle Hilliard. 3rd down and 5. Don't put Jeff Swaim out here. They don't. Complete to Austin Hooper for a gain of 8 and a 1st down. Shocking. They don't have Swaim out there. They get their best game. They put Swaim back in the game. Derrick Henry, no gain. Swaim's back in the game. Tannehill, incomplete, intended for Burks. And Tannehill even said in the press conference, and Swaim was blocking in the backfield on this play, Tannehill said, if I just had a little bit more time, I would have been able to hit Burks for the play, which tells you Swaim not doing his job. No Swaim on 3rd and 10. Tannehill complete to Westbrook-Akine for 16 yards. To the Cincinnati 16 for 25 yards. So he hits Westbrook-Akine with no Swaim on a 3rd down. 1st down. He hits Hooper with no Swaim on the field for a 1st down. Now, 1st down and 10 from the Cincinnati 16. Now, it's been working to not have Jeff Swaim in the game. So what do you think the Titans dial up here, Ian?
Something to Swaim.
They throw the ball to Jeff Swaim, incomplete, 2nd down. Why they called a screen pass to Jeff Swaim, I'll never know. He may have gained 4 yards. Second down, Swaim in the game. Derrick Henry up the middle for 1 yard. 3rd and 9, incomplete, intended for Robert Woods. So, when Swaim was in the game, they got nothing in that one series. When they took Swaim out of the game, they got 8 yards on 3rd and 5. They got 25 yards on 3rd and 10. Anybody else see a correlation here? At least I do. And there's Vrabel asked about Swaim's blocking. Oh, some of it's good, some of it's bad. I told Bob Shoop. Bob Shoop's going to be with us tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We'll do a Bob Shoop film breakdown. I told Coach Shoop, I said, Coach, I need you to watch 87 for me. I need you to tell me what the hell that man's on this team for. And I feel bad for Jeff Swaim because he shouldn't be talked about this much because he should be the 3rd tight end on the team. And Hooper should be the number 1 tight end, and Okonkwo should be the number 2 tight end, and they should just teach the guys they have to block, and they should roll with it so it's not as predictable as it is when Swaim's on the field. But that's just how it is. Indianapolis plays Pittsburgh tonight. Both teams stink, although they stink for different reasons. I am rooting for Indianapolis tonight, and I'm going to tell you why I'm rooting for Indianapolis. You ready for this, Ian?
I am a little bit interested in your rationale here.
Because I am so sick and tired of football people acting as if everybody else who's not a football person, it doesn't know anything about football, isn't smart enough to know anything about football, or isn't qualified to know anything about football. At least the people that are in the government don't actually act like they're super smart and they should be in government and everybody else shouldn't be. Now, some of them who are in government shouldn't be in government, but I don't have that arrogance that I have with football people. It's almost like doctors. It's like, I went to 18 years of medical school to be able to diagnose that, so you don't know. Well, Jeff Saturday got hired off of TV 2 weeks ago, and if he wins this game, it's one thing to win your first game against the crummy Raiders. They lost last week against the Eagles. They came so close. If Jeff Saturday wins this game against the Steelers, then there is, in my opinion, absolutely no excuse, zero excuse for these coaches that act like coaching is so hard. I'm just so tired of all the arrogance, of all the people that act like football coaching is the same as neurology. It is not. It is football. And so this idea of, well, we can't criticize Todd Downing's play calling because you're not smart enough to be able to decide that bringing in Swaim and Rader and Hollister on 2nd and 6 inside the 10-yard line is a predictable play call. I'm tired of that. Nope. So go Jeff Saturday. And if Jeff Saturday wins, then every single coach in the NFL's got to bring it down a notch, except for Belichick, because he never will, and he's got the Super Bowls. And Andy Reid doesn't have to bring it down a notch either because he's got a Super Bowl and's got all those wins. Everybody else, including Vrabel, you got to bring it down a notch if Jeff Saturday wins, because that means that some guy off the street can do your job just as good as everybody else. That's it for us. Everybody enjoy the game tonight. We're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at 2. Bob Shoop will join us at 3 with a film breakdown. ESPN Radio's next.